everybody. Today is the Greenfield Conservation Commission July 18th, 2022, July 22nd, 2025 meeting. Should any technical interruption to the meeting occur and the meeting is suddenly ended, it will not be resumed and all items will be automatically continued to the next scheduled meeting date. Contact the conservation agent, Jessica, for more information. This meeting is being recorded by the Conservation Commission. If any other persons present are doing the same, you must notify the chairperson at this time.
Oh, we have someone that is recording. What is your name? Anthony from the Greenfield Recorder.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Do you have a last name?
Could you spell that for the record? Okay, thank you.
Just as a reminder, since this is a larger than normal public meeting, if you are a member of the public and you are joining us remotely, please remain on mute until you are invited to speak. I will call this meeting to order and do a roll call of commissioners present. Travis,
Present.
Erica,
Here.
and I am also present, so members absent include Elizabeth, our chair, and Emily, who is en route.
I see her walking into the building right now.
Great. Okay, perfect timing. So then maybe we can stick to the original agenda
Okay.
and start with the approval of meeting minutes from June 24th. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because the July 8th meeting was canceled.
Okay, right. So approved meeting minutes will not become available to the public on our website. Will become available on our website on the next business day following this meeting. So tomorrow, the meeting minutes should be posted to the website.
I
Do you need a
move
second
to
to-
approve the meeting minutes from June 24th, 2025.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
I had one edit. Jessica already has.
We'll do a quick roll call, and if anyone has any comments, we can take comments after. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, Travis?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And Erica?
Aye.
Anybody have any comments? Anybody on the commission have any comments?
I had one. I already gave it to Jessica.
Okay.
Erica found a error in the tree species I listed in the minutes, so I'm going to update that.
Oh, I forgot to mention, I'm recusing because I was not present. Sorry about that. Anybody else have any comments? Right, we will have no discussion or comments from the public unless anybody feels strongly about that. Okay, let's just jump into our first public hearing. Before we get into the public hearings, I just wanted to kind of review some rough guidelines from Robert's rules, since we do have such a large public participation today. Let's try to adhere to some Robert's rules guidelines. So each hearing has approximately 20 dedicated minutes on the agenda. The hearing structure will be as follows: 5 minutes of comment from staff. That's the agent. 5 minutes presentation by the applicant. 5 minutes for public comment, or 2 minutes per person, and 5 minutes for the Conservation Commission members to opine. All presenters, please clearly state your name, preferred pronouns, and the address of the project, who you are representing. And for all members of the public, please clearly state your name, your address, and your preferred pronouns. We want to ensure everyone from the public is heard, but we do have an agenda to stick to, and we have a large audience, so I just wanted to put that out there. All right, so first on our agenda, we have public hearing, local notice of intent, improvements to stormwater drainage at 739 and 743 Bernardston Road, map R14, lot 71. Jessica, is this a continuance?
This is not a continuance. We did hear the last meeting about this project, but it was as an RDA and it was in riverfront area to intermittent stream. And so the commission decided that a local notice of intent should be filed. And so it's kind of a weird thing where we're reviewing some of the same information, but starting at the beginning. So I can share my screen to get the plans up. And Rachel from Berkshire Design is actually here. How come my screen?
You might have to pick a different option about what shows under view and.
Hold on one moment. Where are you seeing view?
The top menu, that picture.
Over here?
Kristen, you're not seeing her screen being shared, are you?
I am.
Oh, you do?
I'm seeing the Google Drive, yeah.
It's just that
we're
we're
not
not seeing it.
We're just not seeing it. That's new.
Click on more,
Okay.
let's see. Or next to more, show,
Next show meeting.
yeah.
I can share if we get down to that
No.
point.
Hold on. I'm gonna just 1 second.
There
So-
should be gallery options there to.
Here?
Yeah,
And then what, speaker maybe?
try that or multi-speaker. Or side by
I've
side.
like never had to do this before. It always just works.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Rachel, do you also want to come up with your board and then I could be showing the screen for the people online and you could be showing your board for here?
I could share my screen too, if you want to
Okay.
just tell me what
Yeah,
you're.
why don't you try that and then we'll see if it works on our TV? Because that's
Okay.
the problem, is it's not working. It's
Are
not
you
showing up.
looking to share the 2025 local NOI and RDA folder?
I think, yes. And
Okay.
then under that folder, the NOI submission plans.
Okay. Let me do a screen share and see if this works.
So stop sharing this.
I did.
Okay,
I
good.
did do that.
Can you see my screen?
Well, we can see it out here on our computers, but not up on the big screen.
Oh, okay. Darn it.
Let me try.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I guess, do you want to take back the controls, Jessica, since it's just for online viewing and you can at least have the tripod and 24 by 36 inch plans for people in person?
Yeah, this is gonna be a problem for the next meeting though,
Okay,
the next hearing. So, why don't I let Rachel take the reins and I'm gonna try to troubleshoot the
Yeah.
screen share.
okay, I'm gonna stop sharing then and you just let me know what you want me to do.
Okay, and then Rachel, why don't you grab one of those mics too, just to make sure everyone can hear you. You just need to press the button and it will turn green. Just wait for it to turn green.
The
light
Look,
at the
yeah, there you
bottom.
go. Now it's on.
Mm,
Oh, there we
Yep,
go.
there you go.
Testing. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. That was loud. Everybody can definitely hear me now. Yeah, so we are here to talk about a project at the center school. The center school engaged in construction starting around 2021 and completed around 2023. And the school has a gravel driveway that goes back into the property off of Bernardston Road. Um, Bernardston Road has a asphalt gutter along its side at that interface, and channelizes a lot of upslope water down the road. Um, some of that. This is a diagram showing a schematic from the city that we got of the municipal infrastructure. So this gray hatched area shows the footprint of the asphalt road, and then the red circles are catch basins along the road. The center school property is here. There's an existing house that was retained, and the old Peck vet was demoed for the building of the road. Miss Booker lives here, right next door, and all of those catch basins feed into a outlet upslope of her property that has increased in volume over the years with more channelization. That area was delineated by Ward Smith as a wetland and intermittent stream. So as Jessica mentioned at the last hearing, the commission determined that we would need to come back with a local notice of intent to review the work that's proposed. So Alice had reached out to us with concern about the flooding she was seeing on her property. And we came and looked out and found out about all of this, all of the catch basins and state stormwater coming into her property that appeared to be anecdotally had been increasing over time. So we reached out to the state, and then the state came out and looked at the whole edge of the road alongside the east side. And they had noted that there was a little bit of erosion taking place at the new center school driveway, and they wanted us to fix it before they would look at this larger problem. So that's where we had Ward come out and delineate the wetland and prepared the RDA and now the NOI. So what we're proposing on the plans here, this is the existing gravel driveway that was built with the center school project. This is Bernardston Road. This is the Booker parcel. This is the drain outlet from the highway that comes through and the intermittent stream. The existing center school driveway is within the 100 wetland foot buffer, but we're going to stay out of that with this project. And the site slopes down this way and down this way. So in looking at the situation that's happening, the erosion that's happening is right here on the corner where that asphalt curb transitions to the flat apron of the entry of the school. So the state was willing for us to look at starting up higher and intercepting the water. So what we're proposing is removing the asphalt apron for the house that's upslope of the project and regrading this area. This house and driveway is also owned by the center school, so it is within their property. This plan shows the limit of work line that we anticipate, and that it is definitely within the 200-foot local riverfront area. And this is a plan showing the proposed regrading of the apron. So the apron would be removed. And instead of having the channel that exists there now, it'll be flattened out and directed into the existing stormwater system at the center school. Our civil engineer did stormwater calcs for the 1 year through the 100-year rain events and sized a riprap area within the state right away to slow down the water and prevent further erosion. So the water that comes through, some of the water coming down Berninston Road will be diverted into this swale. However, we anticipate there will still be issues on that property due to the large watershed coming through the existing state stormwater system. And Alice wanted to share with us today some of the photos of the area outside of her garage. So this is her house and her garage, and she's seen water come up this high on her property. And her daughter shared a video just before the meeting of water coming through all the way in between the house and the shed during rain events. So it is of concern long-term for the property. I think that's all I have.
Okay, so I still haven't figured out why it's not working. I do have photos. So Kristen, just to be clear on what you're seeing, when I share my screen, you can see it,
Yes.
right?
Hmm.
And then can you just share your screen? Can you go into the site visit photos
Yep.
for the project and share your screen again, and then maybe,
Oops, sorry, that got kicked off. Give me 1 second. I don't know
That's-
why, but it kicked me off. And I gotta move my stupid thingy. Sorry, guys.
okay, so I can see your screen on my computer.
Yes, I just need to get back onto the Google Drive because somehow I got kicked off.
That's okay. I just don't ooh,
There we go.
what'd you do?
It's a different setting. It's a shortcut.
Yay. Okay,
You want me to
what?
stop sharing? You fixed
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I can drive now.
Okay, all right, I'll stop sharing.
Okay. Oh, this is so good. Minor panic attack. Okay. So here is our site visit that we did a few weeks ago. This is, they're in kind of a strange order. Okay, so I'm standing on Bernardston Road looking up the dirt driveway. This is the riprap that was previously installed that's kind of filling with sediment, and right along here it's getting undercut. There'll be a picture later on that kind of shows the undercutting, but so the work will primarily be in that grassy area headed down towards these conifers. And this is Rachel kind of showing the flow of the water coming off of this, what would be newly paved, and then a little riprappy zone, and then into this grass. And then, yeah, so right here. And then we started to walk the path of what the water would take after the grading. So it would go down through the grass, and these conifers will be temporarily dug up for the grading and then replaced after. And here's like the cutting of the road from the erosion. And just another picture of, and Rachel, where does the grading stop about? Where the cars, like just before where the cars are. Okay, so that's it for the photos of the actual project site. I was not listening, so I was trying to figure out what it, so if
I have a
there's additional
question.
direction, yeah.
when we made the site visit, we talked about how much water presently is coming down and how much might be diverted. Do you have some more information to offer about that question?
Yeah, we had our civil engineer put together a watershed study for the area coming in, which we shared.
Yes, I believe I do have that.
And during the 100-year storm, it's 2.48 CFS. So it's less than what we would expect for erosion of grass. That tends to be around the 4 CFS range. And then in the smaller storm and the 20-year storm, it was 0.22 CFS, cubic feet per second. So and this is the area that would be contributing to coming down the hill into Burniston Road, falling into that gutter, and then surface flowing into our study area.
So that much would be going into the newly
Mhm.
graded area rather than further down the street
Right.
into the neighbor's yard.
Right.
So I have a question. So obviously you're going to be intentionally directing new flow so that it can be managed. I'm just curious if before the center school was constructed, if this was a flooding problem before, or if this is a result of the project.
Yeah, we've heard from Alice, and I think some of her neighbors are here also to talk about what they've experienced over time. We've heard anecdotally that once the road and development across the street from Burnston went in upslope, that also increased. But we can let them talk about their experience during public comment, if that's okay.
The photos that are up are just that neighboring property downstream that neighbors the center school driveway. So it's all dried up, but this is the area that has been catching the water right here and going kind of by these trees and flooding the shed, and I think is encroaching upon the house certain extreme rain event times.
Is the stormwater management system undersized for the subwatershed?
Not for the center school. We had calculations to balance pre and post flows. I don't know what the state used when they installed the state system, what their rainfall volumes were. But I mean, it's something that we're seeing more and more of around the Commonwealth, is that if systems were sized for the 60s rainfall events, we're experiencing, more rain, more intensive. We use different numbers now than we used to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe once it wasn't undersized, but it could be now,
Mm-hmm.
that kind of concept.
Do any other commissioners have any questions at this time, or should we see if anybody from the public wants to speak?
Kristen, just one other thing. I know when this came before us as an RDA, we talked about if any soil was going to be stockpiled on site. And I believe they were saying that they didn't think it would be for more than a day, but in our special conditions for the RDA, we did specify that erosion control barriers would need to be placed around any stockpile material if it was there for more than one day, or if precipitation of more than a 1/4 inch or greater in a 24-hour period was expected. So just wanted to point that out for this process as well. And is that correct that you aren't planning on having any soil stockpiled on the site? That's what I remembered.
That's correct.
Okay.
We're hoping that this can be done really quickly.
Okay.
I guess before we turn it over to the public, I did just have one other question, Rachel. So you're putting in a rock lined swale to direct stormwater towards the stormwater asset, but will the existing stormwater asset be able to take that additional velocity and flow?
Yes, it was designed to carry more than what was installed. The original system was designed to take some of the water from Bernardston Road, but the contractor during construction uh, they encountered some ledge near the road, and they had to install, I believe it was a sewer manhole higher than we had on our design plans. And what that did is instead of having a depression right by the road, they actually have like a little bit of a ridge. It's in between where our proposed swale is and the existing center school driveway is, where that bump up instead of down. And so the area and the flow that we're going to intercept higher than that bump is similar to the amount of flow that we would have had if the contractor had followed all the plans exactly. So the system is designed to handle this flow.
Thank you, Rachel. Do any other commissioners have any other questions for
Not at this
two of
time.
them? All right, I guess let's open it to the public. Was it Alice who was the abutter? Is anybody here from the public who wants to address this application?
Do you want me to move?
We can pass the mic.
Yeah.
I live 2 houses down from Alice, and
What's your name, sir?
Peter Young. I live at 729 Bernardston Road.
Thank you.
And Janet, she lives 1 house up from me, and then Alice. And what happens is, when we get torrential downpours, the sewer gets plugged with branches and leaves, and it just floods Alice's backyard. And then it goes over mine and Janet's yard, and there's a lot of damage there also. I mean, when I first moved in, the brook was only 6 inches high. Now it's 4 to 5 feet high. So what I want to know is, they're going to do any repair work in our yards also? Because it's pretty bad. I should have took pictures, but I didn't.
Thank you. Do you have anybody else who wants to speak?
Nobody else has raised their hands.
Okie dokie.
Jessica, I don't know if you can access the email, but I forwarded a link from Alice of the video. If that's,
You forwarded a link of a video?
yeah, and I'm sorry to do that right before.
That's okay. What is, oh, okay. Alice wants to share a video. And I will put it on my screen.
Thank you.
So we're looking at the center school property in Bernardston Road there in the distance. And the swell is at that seam between the rough vegetation and the lawn. And you can see the water is spilling out into Alice's yard. And then that's the Pachysandria bed by her shed.
So this is the driveway. for the
Yeah,
center
that's
school
the
up there?
driveway, the center
Okay.
school, and there's a berm in between it and her property. And here the water has overtopped the channel that's behind the shed, is now cutting into her yard in front of the shed, between the shed and the house. and pooling.
Okay, so I think the part that I took pictures of, is it on the other side of this?
It's to the right, so
Oh, over here?
the other right.
Oh, yeah, the other right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay.
I think this is an older video, right? 2 years ago. So the part you took a picture was right over there behind the Pakistani, and there's the tree at the entry point.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. All right.
Do the commissioners feel ready to make a motion, or do you feel like you need more information?
Peter, the neighbor had a question about what the impact will be downstream.
Oh, sorry, I didn't see that.
So I don't know, Rachel, if you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think the issues that you guys have been experiencing are from the state. And so we're limited with what we can do within the center school property. But I think the 6 catch basins in Bernardston Road that funnel into the stream outlet is the source of the majority of the water coming through and through your properties. And so any help that we can get from the city to help advocate that would be helpful. When we reached out to Mass DOT originally, they said they don't interface with residential property owners directly, and that they need the town or the city to advocate on their behalf. So the city has been helping. Once Alice complained, we've been working with the city to try to help advocate for that. So I don't think that's something that Berkshire Design can fix with this project, but it's something that we will definitely help you advocate for with this.
Just get worse. I mean, I should have took pictures and brought them in. But you're welcome to come up and look, because it's getting worse.
You're welcome to email me those pictures too, if you have access to that. You know, I can attach them to this file and yeah, I mean, hopefully we can continue this discussion and that can be part of the record.
But Rachel, you had said that this was like a first step, that the state wouldn't even do anything until you fix this part, right?
Right. They said we had to try this to see if it helped, and then they would continue to do more analysis of their system after we did this repair.
Alice has already complained to the state before, haven't you? And,
So basically, it's the state. You have to do nothing to do with.
It sounds like the city can advocate for it and would be the entity that DOT, Department of Transportation, would work with.
would appreciate that, because it's just washing away the property. It's getting really bad.
Floods every time it rains.
Any other last minute members of the public wanna have an opportunity to speak?
I don't see any hands.
Okay, thanks for thanks for interpreting that. I can't see the audience. You're not zoomed out enough. Thank you. So I guess turning to the commissioners, do we feel we have enough information to make a motion tonight, or do we want to continue?
I feel satisfied.
You
I'll
wanna
move
make a
to
motion?
close the public hearing and approve the notice of intent for 739, local notice of intent for 739 and 743 Bernardston Road.
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion and a second. I'll do a quick roll call. Travis
Yes.
and Erica
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I am also an aye. Do we want to? This is only local, right? Is this local and state?
Local.
Just local? We don't need two motions? Okay, do we have any special conditions we want to incorporate? It sounds like Travis mentioned one before that we had on the RDA.
Yeah, in the RDA, we actually had 4 special conditions. One was a native conservation seed mix must be applied to exposed soil after grading is completed. Number 2 was in regards to the 2 conifers that are being relocated, 100% survivorship and after 3 years must be achieved. Number 3 was grading work shall not be executed on days forecasted for rainfall exceeding 0.25 inches in 24 hours. And then the last was the erosion control barriers around the stockpile material. If it's left for more than 1 day, or if precipitation of more than 1/4 of an inch or greater is expected in a 24-hour period.
Anybody else have any special conditions they would like to discuss?
I'm saying I'm gonna attach those, the same conditions to them.
Yes,
Yeah.
I can do that.
And our standard conditions as well.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'll move to issue an order of conditions with the 4 special conditions discussed.
Second.
Great, we have closed the hearing and have discussed special conditions with a motion and a second. I'll do a quick roll call. Travis,
Yes.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I'm also an aye. This closes the public hearing for improvements to stormwater drainage at 739 and 743 Bernardston Road. Thank you so much, Rachel, for coming in, and thank you to the members of the public who have spoken. Appreciate your contributions to this meeting. All right, next up on our agenda, we have a public hearing for a notice of intent. Construction of a multifamily housing at Stone Farm Lane, map R03, lot 14. This has been assigned a DEP file number. It is 1680365. I guess, Jessica, do you want to open this and then we'll turn it
Yeah,
over to
I
the
can
applicant?
open.
Okay.
Both Bucky Sparkle and Noah Grunberg are here tonight to talk about this proposed project. And I can bring up the plans real quick.
Hi, Bucky. This is Emily Boss. Good to see you.
Oh, hello.
Okay. So I have the regular set of plans and I have the ones with the wetlands color coded, which I think that might be the better option.
I'm old school. Back in the olden days, I would always take my like highlighters and color code all the wetlands and then the impact area. I like that. So personally,
You like the color coded? Okay.
I like it. Yeah, personally.
It's just easier to see. Okay, so up on my screen, we have kind of the overview color coded, and then below we'll have the zoomed in. But what you're seeing is the proposed plans to build 22 residential unit condos, and there's two buildings. Where my cursor is, that's kind of the bigger of the two. And then behind that to the north is the second building. This is Stone Farm Lane coming in. It's currently a dirt road that goes through the woods to these 2 duplexes. The current structures are in like a lighter gray, and the dark black is the proposed plants. So they come down this road. This is a kind of like a circle parking drive. There'd be additional parking in front of these duplexes, which currently is parking right now, and a delivery area. So basically what you're seeing is color coded. We have the wetland, bordering vegetated wetlands. There's one, down to the bottom left of the screen that doesn't impact this project. There's the C series BVW right here. The 25-foot no disturb zone is in yellow. The 50-foot is dashed. It's still black. And then the 100-foot is in green. So as far as the BVW buffer zone goes, the limit of disturbance, which is purple, does not intersect the 25-foot no disturb zone. And the rest of the work, it does intersect the 50-foot, that is primarily in that, second 50 feet of the 100-foot buffer zone. And it's the drive and the parking and utilities that are going to be located in that. And then down towards the bottom center of the screen, there's the E series BVW that was delineated, and it has intermittent stream channels in like a bold blue. And these were approximated for this particular drawing based on the contour lines because they had to have the flags surveyed. But since I've received this, the flags have been surveyed and it actually is pretty accurate, but they're just 2 feet shorter than are shown here on this plan. And so this riverfront riverfront area that is the 200-foot riverfront area that's shown in blue. If you follow my cursor, that's the 200-foot riverfront area. That is just 2 feet less in real time. So it's pretty accurate. So basically the riverfront area, the work proposed in riverfront area is still part of this road and parking and utilities. And then lastly, I want to draw your attention to this existing Woods Road. It's, I think, an old access road for utilities or current access road for utilities. And so some of the construction vehicles will be using that road to work down on this portion of the project, which is the stormwater detention basin and swale. The F series wetland buffer zone is intersected at kind of the far end of the buffer zone, near the 100 feet, by this stormwater swale and detention basin. And then in the top corner of my screen is the certified vernal pool. And that also, the stormwater system will be outside of the buffer zone of the vernal pool. So that was my very long-winded kind of recap of how this project is falling into the jurisdictional areas for the Conservation Commission. This is the zoomed in view of the work within the C series buffer zone and riverfront area to intermittent stream. Okay. I am happy to turn the mic over to Bucky and Noah if we're at that point, unless the commission wants me to elaborate on anything.
Kristen, do you mind if I just clarify what is local ordinance and what is State Wetlands Protection Act?
No, that would be great. I think it'd be good to just run through the jurisdictional areas that this intersects with. And also, I wasn't clear on whether this is in bordering land subject to flood as well. So could you just touch on the RFA, local and state, BVW, vernal pool, and BLSF?
I'll try to get to most of that. So just for, members of the public and all of us here, Greenfield has a wetlands ordinance that has resource areas that go beyond what the State Wetlands Protection Act has. So the green buffer zone to the wetland, that is jurisdictional under the Wetlands Protection Act and the city ordinance. That's the green line. The yellow line, the 25-foot no disturb zone, that is in the Greenfield ordinance. So that is a local ordinance. And the blue line, the riverfront area, that riverfront area is only for the Greenfield local ordinance, which has a riverfront area on intermittent streams. The Wetlands Protection Act does not have a riverfront area on intermittent streams. And I'm not sure about the flooding, bordering land subject to flooding.
There's no bordering land subject to flood rate on this project.
What was the green line surrounding again?
Yeah, I feel like I'm mixed up on the green line. I thought that
The
was
green
100
line is
foot.
100-foot river, is 100-foot wetland buffer.
Okay.
Okay.
So that is jurisdictional under Wetlands Protection Act and our local ordinance.
So there's no riverfront area for, what is it, the Green River?
No, Connecticut. It's the
Connecticut
Connecticut River. There is no, everything is outside the 200-foot riverfront area for the Connecticut. And I think that it actually just intersects. I actually I have it here. I'll show you. Okay, so this is my ArcMap screenshot. The pink parcel is the applicant or the owner of the property. Ignore how it extends up there. That's not part of it. It comes down here and cuts southwest. Here's the Connecticut River. You can see oh, actually, I don't know if you guys can see, but there are neon green lines, and that is the 200-foot buffer zone from the Connecticut River, and it just intersects this top northeast corner of the parcel. So it's not, the project's over here, and then the stormwater system is here. So the 200-foot riverfront area from the Connecticut River doesn't need to be considered for this project.
Was the river delineated though? Like, was there mean annual high delineated?
It was talked about in the wetland delineation that the bank was, I could read it to you from the delineation, but it talked about how it had a defined bank.
Oh, an elevation.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So should I turn the mic over to Bucky and Noah? Okay. I'm not sure if Noah or Bucky would like to speak, and you can also share your screen if you need to.
Yes, great. So my name is Bucky Sparkle. I'm the civil engineer for this project, and I'm here representing my client, Noble Home, with Noah Goomberg as the head of that operation. And Jessica, I have to thank you for doing like most of the heavy lifting of my presentation. That definitely saved some time in the orienting, but I would still like the opportunity to run through what I've prepared, which has slightly more detail in some regards than the plan that I had sent to you and which you've discussed so far. Gonna move these windows around so I can use the buttons of my own software. All right. So obviously we're talking about Stone Farm Lane, the Noble Home condominium 22 unit project at the end of Stone Farm Lane. And, the applicant is Noble Home. The owner of this property is Valley Community Land Trust. They own the 32-acre parcel upon which a lease will be maintained for the condos. Karen Environmental did the wetland delineation, and as I said, I'm Bucky from this engineer. We've already covered some of this. I do want to point out that the area, pretty much the entire 32 acres has been In the past, now there's lots of mature trees, but this was a sand and gravel extraction operation. There's some strange undulating territories and weird grading all over the place, some very steep slopes. So we're working within the confines of what has occurred by human hands prior to, well, our generation coming along. One thing to point out is that there is a priority habitat on this by Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. We have been working with them and investigating. They wanted more information. We provided, we had a biological survey of the entire 32 acres to search for incidents of the 3 potential species which could be on this property. And after a very thorough search, which is accurately mapped, none of those species were found on the 32 acres or within our project limits, which is about 3 acres of that. This is the slightly updated version of what we all just saw. I will say that we have since flagged, picked up the flags for the E series wetland. We picked up the flags for the bank for the intermittent streams. And this blue line is the local 200-foot riverfront. And yeah, it moved about 2 feet to the advantage of the project. But we already discussed this. So what I want to do is move in a little bit. So this yellow box is going to be the next screen, just to orient, notice the 2 existing buildings and the parking lot and driveway will help, set the stage here. So this is zoomed in a bit, those 2 existing buildings. You can see shaded here, the proposed condominium, building 1, building 2, a shed, of course, the sidewalks, the circular driveway. But of course, within the tenets of this meeting, we're talking about the resource areas. So this is that green 100-foot buffer zone and the blue riverfront, which just clips the project here. Overall, the project is going to disturb about 121,000 square feet, and that includes the existing road, the existing parking lot, which is a good hunk of that. We're going to be moving through, several thousand square feet temporarily of the buffer. We're going to be adding some impervious area within the buffer zone. Within the riverfront, what we call the degraded areas. So, the pavement, there's existing pavement, existing house, existing sidewalk. We are adding 43 square feet of impervious area to that, which since there's more than 500,000 square feet of riverfront on the property, this is 0.01%, very, very small. And disturbance within the riverfront, it calculates to be almost 2,600 square feet, 0.4% of the riverfront. And all of that area is currently a gravel driveway, sidewalk, or residential lawn right now. So it's not exactly natural habitat. And I do have one more screen so you can see how the detention basin doesn't quite fit on the zoom. So we're going to jump and just to kind of be complete. As Jessica mentioned, the 100-foot, the green line, 100-foot buffer does intersect with the stormwater management area. Hydraulically, at least from surface flow, they do not connect because this is, you can see it's very steep. This is a big pit hole in the ground. So water does not flow directly to the F delineated wetland. At some point, if water ever leaves this area, it will move to the east toward the vernal pool off to the side. And I do want to talk briefly about the soil erosion controls. We do have a series of sediment logs, which are shown in red. We have inlet filters on all of the new catch basins and stormwater inlet structures. We've got multiple sediment basins where we can fit them because the site is quite sloped. So there's, there are only so many places we can place these. And this is a feature that, is often very much related to the contractor's operations. If they want to do one thing or another, the locations of these basins, needs to suit their operations. So they're sort of a flexible element. I'm making my guess as to where the best places are, but the contractor eventually may, we can work on different locations. all outside of the resource areas, of course. The slopes are going to get biodegradable blankets, and all of the soils are going to be stabilized. Some of it will be with grass, but areas that are steep are not going to be residential lawn, are going to be meadow pollinator mix. Those are the additional details that I have to say beyond what Jessica has already offered. And we are happy to answer any questions that you have.
Thanks, Bucky. I guess before we open this to public comment, I'm just curious if the commissioners have any questions or comments. And one thing that I was thinking is, Jessica, maybe we could pull up the DEP comment letter.
Yes. Okay, there were 4 comments. Since the, oh yeah, sure. Oops. Is that good for you, or do you, I can try to do it with my,
Yeah, I think that's better.
okay. Since the NHESP polygons only involve priority habitat, it is not subject to the Wetlands Protection Act 310 CMR 1059. That's the first comment. 2, Greenfield Conservation Commission should update its abutter notification form to reflect the Mass DEP one. I updated that prior to the notifications going out, so that is now up to date. Number 3, all BMPs must be designed, constructed, operated, and maintained by the BMP handbook. So that's for the stormwater system. Number 4, as a reminder, a log book must be kept and made available for the commission or Mass DEP review upon request. This item should be discussed at the hearing, as this requirement is frequently not met by the owner, by any owner.
Thank
Those
you.
are the 4 comments.
So I just have a quick question, Becky. So you did go through all of the resource areas, but can you confirm that the site is not in bordering land subject to flood?
It is not. There is no 100-year floodplain anywhere on the 32 acres that is owned by Valley Community Land Trust.
And just to reiterate, can you just, like, in one quick sentence, just confirm how you qualified degraded riverfront?
That would be areas that are, quite specifically already existing gravel or concrete. Of course, the house that's there, but we're not touching the existing buildings. I believe residential lawn does not count from a regulatory standpoint as degraded. Of course, it is a monolithic monoculture, not really a diverse ecosystem, so it's reasonably low value. It does offer a variety of values, but compared to woodlands or meadow, it's not fantastic. But degraded is basically the existing infrastructure that's there.
So you said gravel. So I consider degraded riverfront area impervious surface area personally. So
Yeah.
like concrete, I could see that, but gravel, what do you mean by that?
Gravel is very much an impervious surface, almost to the same degree as concrete and asphalt. Open graded stone, that'll let water go right through, but gravel is very specifically designed with very little void space in between. It is very dense. Asphalt, and when you're doing hydrology and you're modeling surfaces, asphalt is considered 98% impervious. A gravel is considered 96% impervious. So there's virtually no difference between a gravel driveway and just poured concrete.
Yeah, for a hydrological modeling for sure, but from a regulatory standpoint, I'm not sure I totally agree with that.
Well, it also doesn't grow anything. Nothing.
That's what I was
Yes,
getting at.
yeah.
If there's any veg growing up or if it's totally unvegetated.
The survey defines the gravel boundary, areas of gravel parking lots that are not regularly driven on or stepped upon. Nature's going to grow through everything. It'll grow through asphalt if you give it enough time. So I would say that there's perhaps a small percentage of that gravel that is supporting whatever the most opportunistic vegetation is, but mostly it's just a parking lot.
Do we have site photos, Jessica?
Yes, I'll bring those up.
Jessica, while you're bringing those up, there was a question from the
Oh,
audience
yes.
about who that letter was from.
So that letter was from Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. So when someone submits a notice of intent, they submit it to the municipality or the town that they're doing the project in, proposing the project in, and also the Department of Environmental Protection. So we receive comments back once they receive that application. So that's what those 4 comments were.
Point of information, you realize, of course, that no one can see what you're showing, right? You understand that these documents are not readable from a distance. We have no idea what is in them. Did you have any NHESP response to the statement that was made by the engineer that none of the 3 endangered species were found? Has there been a response from the state on that?
I
Hey,
don't
so
believe,
Jessica, before you
Yeah.
answer, first of all, I can't hear the member of the public and
Yeah.
I didn't hear a name announced and I don't think we're quite ready for public comments yet.
okay. Yeah, we will answer your questions. You will have time to ask all those questions after we finish this part of the meeting.
That will not be part of the public. That's not a person's 2-minute statement, these questions.
That will be, yes.
Absolutely.
We will answer all your questions at the point in the meeting where the public comment is permitted.
We want to hear you. We want to be able to hear you. And for the people remote, we can't hear you when you're speaking. So
Yeah.
we'll make sure you have a mic
Everybody,
and stuff.
when that time comes, you will need to hold a microphone because nobody online can hear what you're saying right now.
Yeah, and just as a reminder, we'll want to hear your name and your address before you address your comments.
That's the situation we're in. We can't see any of the material you're presenting.
That's what you can't see the TV?
Pardon?
You can't see the TV?
I can see that, but all the documents that you showed, and all the diagrams and the graphs and the wetland areas and so forth, none of that is visible. Even the colors are not necessarily visible to people unless you all are much closer. Look how far back the audience is from any of the written material.
Well,
That's visible.
If you'd like to stand up and come closer, you're welcome to come closer.
And also, just as a reminder, this meeting will be posted online for anybody to review the minutes and the recording at a later date.
And the plans are also available at
Every-
20 Sanderson Street in the planning department if you'd like
Yes.
to come in for a closer look.
All right, let's look at site photos for now, and then we'll get to public comment.
Okay, so Erica and I visited the site last week, and this is so this is the parking lot, and I'm facing southwest, looking at the intersection of the parking lot to the riverfront area. So it kind of just cuts through this road right here, and the 2 cars are parked within it. So again, it's kind of cutting to the corner of that house through the road, and it's all back in this greenery.
Hey, can you go back 2 photos? I just have a quick question for you, Bucky. So when you're calling out degraded, see where the cars are parked, where there's vegetation? Are you calling that degraded or disturbed?
I'm calling that degraded.
Sorry, Jessica, go ahead.
That's okay. So this was the portion of the plans that intersected riverfront and buffer zone as well. So after we, convened right here, we walked to the forest road. So this is looking back. So again, the riverfront area cuts right here. The telephone pole where these wires are coming from is just behind me, and was kind of the corner of where the riverfront area and buffer zone intersected the road. Okay, so we headed down the forest road. This is, I am on that utility access road. It's up higher than, I believe when they constructed it, they, piled a bunch of stuff and it's much higher than the ground on either side. So I'm looking down at the E-Series BVW.
You can see a couple of the flags there.
What?
You can see a couple of the flags.
Yeah, you can see the flags. Yeah, I kind of want to switch back and forth to the map. So you can see the shape of the E-Series. But anyway, this is looking in at the wetlands downhill. You can see the soil there. And the pink flagging delineates the edge of it.
You put the cursor on the pink flagging.
Yeah, here.
There's 3, I think, or 4. I see 4.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's
The blue flag
looking,
front. Yeah.
there's a blue flag here. I'm gonna bring up the plans real quick, so I wanna look.
Is blue flagging for water bodies and pink flagging for wetlands?
Let me just bring it up real fast, because,
And to
I
answer
think we
that,
need
in this case, the blue is the BBW and the pink is the bank for the intermittent stream.
Oh, I had it backwards.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to recap, right? We started out over here in the parking lot, and then we walked up and came down this road. Okay. So the C wetland is in between the road we're walking on and the proposed project. The E wetland is towards the Connecticut River, right? So it's on the far side, farther away from the project. So this is C, this is E. E is the one that has the intermittent stream channels. And then F is way over here. And finally, the vernal pool is at the end of the road. So that's kind of the order we're going to go in.
And the reason for walking on the access road was just to see the resources that have the buffer zones and the resource area. But there's not activity that's going to happen on that access
Well, the
road.
access road will have construction vehicles because they're gonna be using it to get to the detention basin part of the project. So they're like digging the swale and this whole area actually, you'll see in the photos, but there is already like a giant pit from the sand and gravel era of the property. But anyway, so just to orient you, C is in between the project and the road we're walking on. E is down the hill towards the river, and we'll progress along. F also down the hill towards the river, and then the vernal pool at the end. So. Okay, so then E. Okay. So here's E. So I'm going to back up. E is the one with the intermittent streams. And Bucky, you were saying that the pink is for the bank, right?
Correct.
And then blue is for wetland boundary.
Correct.
Okay, so this is, I'm on the road looking down at the delineated bank of these intermittent streams. So again, this is E, looking at the delineated bank. And then this is the upper boundary So you can see we're like well back into the woods, not the bank. But still, that's the edge of the wetland. And this is zoomed out. It's hard to see with the greenery, but there's a blue marker, there's a blue marker. Here is the channels of the intermittent streams. And I am up on the road. So you can kind of get a feel for that being like lower in elevation than where I am. So this, now we kind of turned to look what would be uphill, but this is actually pretty flat. It's a little lower than where I was on the road, but it's pretty flat in here for the C series wetland. And then in the distance, that's where the train heads uphill. Terrain. So here it's like open for the wetland, but there is a lot of thick vegetation along this road. So that's kind of what borders it. And then here is that's a pink one, but that actually is a construction flag. That's not from the wetland delineation. So here is kind of the bottom east corner of the C series wetlands. So we're at the edge. This is the hill that goes up, and the house is up here at the top of the photo beyond the trees.
The existing house. The existing house.
Yeah, the existing house, the duplex that, the first duplex as you're driving into the property. Okay, so that's C series. Okay, so now we walked further down the road. I'm looking downhill towards the F series. You can kind of see the Connecticut River in the distance. And this whole zone, this depressed area, is the F wetland. So pretty far down slope from the road. So again, it's like in there. And then we're way up here, and the road is over here. Okay. So we are switching gears. This is, so I'm going to go back to the plans, okay? Because we're going to look at the detention basin area of the plans. Let's see. All right. So from the gravel pit history, you can see how tight these contour lines are. Do you see that? So we're standing up here in this next photo that I'm going to show. So the way they designed it is to take advantage of the already existing kind of deep area. And anyway, I'll show you these photos, but just to orient you, we're looking down this slope here, and then there'll also be a picture where I turn around and look at this area, because this is where the swale will be coming from. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I'm standing at the top of that. It doesn't look as steep in this photo, but it's actually much steeper. And the swale will be going down this hill into this detention basin area. Bucky can speak more to this, but he did bring up that they're gonna remove some of the trees, but a lot of the vegetation will stay in this area. So that you can tell that the steepness more in this photo all the way down to there, that it gets flatter. Yeah, I was standing in poison ivy. So. And so now I just looked left so you could see the steep hill, get an idea for the terrain, and the lay of the land. This is just another angle looking down into this basin. And then here I turned around, and so the swale is going to come through this area to the top of that hill. And then, so we continued on. So now we're at the far side of the basin, and you can see it's pretty flat. And we were just checking out this area where there is going to be a berm constructed to that Bucky can talk more about, but a berm to kind of, yeah, I'm going to let Bucky talk about that. But anyway, this is the photo of that. And then we were noting that there were a lot of invasive trees, black locust, tree of heaven.
Norway maple.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
Norway maple, I saw some.
Norway maple. And
Bittersweet.
yeah, I didn't notice a lot of bittersweet, but that might have been because there weren't a lot of berries. I don't know. I didn't notice it. So this is just, a picture of the canopy in that infiltration basin area. And then this is the vernal pool. It's quite large.
And I will just note that is a certified vernal pool and
Yes.
that has been certified for obligate species.
So there's like a clear edge you can see going up the hill there. And this is looking toward the basin from the vernal pool. Okay, so after the vernal pool, we headed back up the road. And we were just talking about the path of the swale, of the stormwater system swale. And this is the second building, the second duplex, sorry, that's existing on the property. And so the swale is going to come somewhat where this log actually is, but like in this general area, and then where it will take a turn. And I'll just show you one more time so that you can get the picture. Yeah. So that log was like this zone.
Oh, it looks steeper on the plans than it did in the photo.
I mean, sometimes the photos I think don't do justice to the like differences in topography.
Okay.
So yeah, it comes down, kind of straightens out, and then goes down that steep hill. And that's almost the end of the photos. So let's see. And yeah, so the swale comes down here, and then it turns and heads down this way towards that deep pit. So this was, so what we were noting here was just the height of the road where the swale will be. The swale will be like about, I think, Bucky, you say 2 feet deep?
Yeah, it says on the plans, 2 feet
Yeah.
2 feet wide bottom, 2 feet deep to follow existing grade.
Yes.
And then it will have the road. I was just kind of noting like what the path of the water would have to be if it is like managed to make out of the swale. It would have to pass over the road and then down towards the F series wetlands. That's the wetland that's closest downhill from the swale.
Isn't that's like a
but-
berm right there and it's over the other side, isn't it?
Yeah, there's like a berm. It's like a treacherous path
So we'd
that
have
the
to-
water would have to take to get to the F wetland. Yeah. Oh, and then that last, this is not in jurisdictional area, but this, I just took a picture of where the sewer pumping station would be along the entrance road. So, yeah, that's it for site photos.
Okay. Want to address commissioner questions before we open it to the public? I know the public are anxious to speak, but let's hear what the commission has to say first. Anybody have any questions on the commission?
I can bring up anything if you want to look at stuff again.
Well, so I just have one question on the local riverfront area. When we were talking about degraded, is this being filed as like redevelopment in riverfront? Is that the intent with this filing?
Is that question for Becky?
I think so, yeah.
Well, actually, at the time of filing, we were not aware there was intermittent stream bank, so we didn't consider redevelopment within the riverfront as part of the initial filing. It was once we submitted, Jessica asked some questions, which led us to send our wetland expert back out there. We reevaluated in great detail all those areas where there was BVW to ensure that there was or wasn't bank. Mostly there wasn't. We did find some. So the reality is within the riverfront area, because there is existing parking there, to a large degree, this would be effectively a redevelopment project because we are putting back gravel parking where there is gravel parking.
Okay, and one other question I have about that is you mentioned seed planting that would need to happen afterwards, and typically our conditions for work in a resource area requires that plantings be native to the county. And since riverfront area is a resource area locally, is that currently part of your plan to replant with a native seed mix that's native to the county?
I don't think we have any problem with that. I mean, it's presently residential lawn, so I'm sure they're going to want their lawn back. But we can select a grass seed mix in that area where that would be locally native. I'd have to look into that, but I don't perceive that as being any kind of issue.
Is the whole area, can we look at the
Yes.
plan? We're just gonna bring up the plan real quick, but
The color
The
coded.
color
I like
code.
the color one. Yes, please pull that out.
Yeah,
Okay.
so is the
Um,
entire area that intersects local riverfront area and the area of disturbance, is that all either parking lot or lawn currently?
Yes.
Okay. So as a recap, the green line is the 100-foot buffer zone to bordering vegetative wetland, and the blue line is the 200-foot riverfront area to an intermittent stream.
And the orange line is the,
And the yellowish orange line is the 25-foot no disturb zone per the Greenfield wetland ordinance. And The purple straight line here is the limit of disturbance.
Yeah, maybe you can trace this with your cursor,
Yeah.
but so the only area that's being disturbed that is in riverfront is between this purple and the blue right here.
Yes.
And no impacts to BBW.
All work is outside the 25-foot no disturb zone.
So the only work in resource area is the local riverfront and everything else is buffer zone.
Yes.
So for Wetlands Protection Act, it's buffer zone only.
Yes. And there's also, this portion of the project, which is also just buffer zone right here.
I will go on record as saying I disagree with your designation or interpretation of degraded versus disturbed riverfront area. I think
Okay.
if there's vegetation growing and it's clearly over 60-75%, it's not degraded. And I also don't love your stormwater management system. I don't, what does the swale consist of here? Is this,
It is a cellular confinement system which lines the channel. These are expandable grids which are then filled with one material or another, are regularly used to line stream channels, provide armoring. We are going down a very steep slope for any stormwater situation. So we do need to have something more than just a grass swale. So we are armoring that with the cellular confinement system. That will be a blend depending on grade of either open graded aggregate to allow infiltration, but also provide armoring, or in the steepest sections, a concrete lining. So effectively, it's a half pipe.
yeah. And then have you considered, so one of the performance standards under the ordinance for riverfront area is that you would do an alternatives analysis. And I'm curious if you've done an alternatives analysis for alternative locations of your stormwater system that are not right about the certified vernal pool envelope.
Sure. Actually, I had hoped to put it in other locations. As I mentioned that, the site has quite a bit of topography, and stormwater management has a few driving factors. One is water goes downhill, and downhill of this site are duplexes and septic systems. So all of those easy areas are already occupied with infrastructure that has an offset requirement from stormwater management, septic systems. So we had to stay out of their way. We did look at taking the water to the west. And again, because of topography, that became fairly difficult. We were looking at having to cut a trench somewhere to 10 to maybe it was even 14 feet deep in order to move water to the west. We also almost certainly would have come within the 25-foot no disturb buffer of the C series wetland, and done quite a bit more work within the buffer zone. So the least impactful area on site and accessible was the location we ended up proposing.
Is that all outlined in your NOI application, the alternatives analysis?
I'm not sure I went into that level of detail, but I'm happy to provide a supplemental letter.
I just don't love like basically a rip-rap / concrete channel shoot straight down to stormwater that potentially discharges to a vernal pool buffer zone. That's my,
Discharge is very limited in this case. In fact, you have to really get to the 100-year storm before there's any discharge from that stormwater management system.
that's pretty typical of what we're looking at these days with the climate change storm events, and that's for overland flow, not for groundwater recharge. So I'm just imagining a lot of sediment migrating down that slope, salt migrating down that slope, and yeah. I don't know, that's my 2 cents. I'll shut up. I'll let the other commissioners speak.
On that same note, could you talk a little bit about maintenance of that stormwater system going forward?
Sure. We did submit a comprehensive operation and maintenance plan that was a separate document from the stormwater report. I used to combine them, but the reality is in the future, people just throw away the stormwater reports or can't find the 8 pages of essential operation and maintenance documentation. So we do have a special document that includes log forms for each type of BMP on site. So there's detailed instructions for inspecting and maintaining catch basins and sumps, the pipes and swales, the sediment forebays, the infiltration areas, as well as the gravel surfaces for the driveway and parking lot. So we do have good documentation on what needs to be done, at what interval it needs to be done, how regular the inspection should be, and there are log forms for each of those BMPs.
In the DEP comments, it mentioned logging. Is that the log form that was intended by that comment, or is there something else we needed to address?
It's the only log form that I'm aware of that would be part of a stormwater management system. That's my interpretation.
That's on sheet 10 of 11 on their OMP. Oh, 9 and, nope, sorry, 8, 9, and 10 of 11.
Do you want me to bring that up?
I think that was more of a comment, and I don't want to speak for the DEP, but usually, not usually, sometimes, stormwater management systems can be neglected. So I think this is just, given the proximity to sensitive resource areas, we want to make sure this is maintained and documented so that it's just not neglected, filled up with sediment and, it's at the bottom of a really steep slope. Right next to sensitive resource areas.
Could you bring it up, Jessica, so we can look at
Yes.
it?
That's document number 4.
Page 9 and 10.
Yeah,
Rotate the
9, 8, 9,
pages.
10.
You rotate the pages.
Oh, shoot.
I'm not sure if you can rotate it.
I know, I'm like turning my head.
You'd probably have to download it and then
Okay.
rotate it in a different.
So this is just kind of a boilerplate, Bucky, that you got?
I mean, it's not exactly a boilerplate, it's a template, it's customized for each of the projects that I do. There's a key on a sheet or two before this that indicates, where each of the BMPs are located on the site. So, 20 years from now, somebody who has no idea, anything about this site should be able to look at this document and go, oh, here are the infiltration basins and the forebays and the catch basins, both on site and how they connect to the logbook.
And just a reminder for Kristen and the applicant, we have talked about maybe putting a little more time into following up with projects that have occurred and checking logs and making sure they actually are being done. So if our conservation agent gets some free time, that's I'm good.
Thank you. Bucky, Kristen's comment about the frequency of storms is a really pertinent one. So say there was the experience of 100-year storms, every 5 years, 10 years, something like that. What would the impact be on the system?
Well, at a certain point, that the old gravel pit that we're trying to repurpose as the stormwater management area, the attenuation infiltration basins, that will overflow at a certain point. That system is doing a few things. And actually, if maybe I can bring up my stormwater report here to show you with some numbers, if I might.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't want to speak for the other commissioners, but stormwater reports are difficult to read. If you could summarize that in a sentence or two, that would be great.
Yeah, well,
Mhm.
here, let me summarize it with this sentence, being a little chart, and we don't have to go into
Yeah.
big numbers. So for each of the storms, the 2-year, the 10, and the 100, I have both the modeled existing and proposed flow rates and volumes. These are in thousands of cubic feet for the volumes. We are collecting, by the way, this system is designed to collect and treat all of the runoff, not just from our project, but
Sorry,
all.
can I interrupt you for a second and ask you to zoom in a little so
Oh,
everyone here can see it a little
absolutely.
better?
There, as big as I can get it.
Thanks. Yeah.
So the system is designed to collect all the runoff from this project. All of the runoff from Valley View Drive, most of the runoff from Sunrise Avenue. Maybe I have those street names. Sunrise Avenue. So we are making up for the sins of the past. Those other developments up the hill that are just sending all their untreated water down to this property, we are collecting all of that water, treating all of that water, and still getting these numbers. So that's one of the reasons that I love the idea of this pre-existing pit, because we can make up for our project disturbs, we're about 3 acres. We're handling 12 acres of runoff, including a whole bunch of residential roads and roofs. So for the 2-year storm, existing discharge off-site would be 0.28 cubic feet per second, not a whole lot of water. Proposed 0. 7,000 cubic feet of water flow off of the current property and those upstream residences. All of that is going to be infiltrated to the groundwater system with this project. 10-year storms, similarly, 3.18 cubic feet per second discharge from all of those 12 acres, 0, because all of that water, 29,000 cubic feet of water, is going to be treated and put into the groundwater. Here, finally, we get to the 100-year storm. We have 17.65 cubic feet per second coming from these 12 acres, all that impervious area uphill of us. 10 cubic feet per second comes off at the end of this, so a significant decrease in the peak discharge rate that would move downstream eventually toward the Connecticut River. And with 115,000 cubic feet of water coming off, we were able to infiltrate the bulk of that with only 35,000 cubic feet of water moving downstream. So the system has an enormous capacity to go well beyond treating this project's stormwater, but the sins of the past for Valley View Drive and Sunrise Avenue as well.
Just one more thing to point out that we haven't talked about is that you did do test pits in that location too.
Soil borings.
And
Yes.
yes, it said soil testing revealed sand and gravel to 72 to 96 inches. Estimated seasonal high groundwater was determined to be 66 inches or deeper. So
Yeah.
just wanted to point that out. Pretty good, for infiltrating water if you have a lot of sand and gravel there.
Yes, I actually, and when I tried to do my constant head permeameter test to test the infiltration rate in the soil, I couldn't pour water in fast enough. I dropped 10 gallons of water in a very, very short amount of time, and the earth just absorbed it all through a 2-inch hole as fast as I could pour it out. So this. It's a sand and gravel pit. There's, it's kind of, you get that kind of infiltration rate.
just hate that it's a riprap swale and all that thermal loading that's going straight to a sensitive resource area.
It is discharging outside the buffer of the,
I know, that was, yep, I noticed it's exactly
dam.
outside the buffer. I just hate riprap.
Well, it could be done with a pipe. It would be much more expensive and harder to maintain and prevent additional infiltration. So I'm more pleased with surface swales. And yes, some of it does have to be armored. But there is a section of it that is relatively flat along the Woods Road. That would be pretty easy to convert to I'd have to verify the velocities, but we might be able to convert that to a grass swale.
Mm.
And we say riprap, well, I'm talking about, 1.5-inch stone. This is not a riprap channel. This is the kind of material that, just like the gravel driveway, is eventually going to infill with vegetation and sediment. So it will be armored to prevent erosion, but eventually it's going to be green for the most part, except in those very, very steep sections.
Any other commissioners have any questions for the applicant or their representative?
I'm ready for public comments.
Okay, let's open the hearing to public comment. think we
I have a
few.
list. I have a
Yeah,
list.
sure. Okay. Just make sure everybody, please announce your name and your address, your first and last name and your address, and make sure you have a microphone so that we can have you on the recording and the people who are not present in the room can hear you.
Okay. Is Cynthia Peace available? Okay. It does not matter. Just push the button for like 2 seconds and it will turn green and then you're good to go. And then let go, maybe.
Yep,
There you
there.
go.
2 seconds. That's okay. Doing it wrong. Hi, my name's Cynthia Pease. I live at 5 Sunrise Avenue here in Greenfield. Sunrise Avenue abuts or is near this proposal, and it is a huge effect on our family for this proposal to happen. I have been a Girl Scout leader here in Greenfield for the last 6 years, and you might not think this has anything to do with what they're asking you to do, but with 25 girls for the last 6 years, we've hiked the ridge along the border property of this proposed area for the last 6 years in the spring and the fall, and we've cleaned the ridge every single time we've done it. We've done the Green River cleanup, and the girls are very concerned with the area. Being less than 13 years old, they asked what they could do to help. And this last hike, this last spring, they went up all the way to Poet's Seat and turned around and looked and said, what's going on down there? These girls are 10, 11, 12 years old, and they could see the difference over the last 6 years of how much has changed in this area in 1 year from when the property was bought by Valley Community Trust to take care of land. In their eyes, it's a trust. They're trusting to take care of the land. That's not happening. These girls then went on to say, what can we do to tell people that this should not be changed? They hiked those trails from Poet's Seat that abut this property. And until this last year, we would also hike the property that this is concerning. They would go all the way down to that road that you took your walk on, and they would look for vegetation. They would look for things. We made so many explorations out there and things that they learned along the way from everything out there. It's a valuable resource that is going to be and has already been degraded, and it abuts existing trails. These girls on the existing trails this spring have found multiple endangered things that this engineer has stated is not there. Yes, they didn't go on the property this year, but previous years they have. This year, they found in the spring lady slippers. They found 2 different types of snakes that are on those trails, one being a timber rattlesnake, and they believe what was an eastern rat snake. Yes, they're kids, but for them to go home and try to ID what they saw and then figure out that they might be endangered, I find that very impressive that adults didn't find the same thing on corresponding land right next door to these trails. They also find salamanders every single year. These aren't the little red newts that everybody finds under a rock. These are endangered or specially concerned or threatened salamanders, the marble salamander and the Jefferson salamander. These girls are concerned about what's happening, and they asked me to share with you that you're the Conservation Commission. They don't know what everybody does. They just know you guys are the adults, and this is in front of you now to take care of it. And they're asking you to, along with myself that lives there, take care of this land. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We have other members of the public who wish to share.
Yes, thank you, Cynthia. Next is Denham Lent.
Jessica, can you just address, I know someone has their hand up online. Can you just address
Oh.
how we're going to handle online versus in
Uh,
person?
Jen, I'm going to add you to the list. I apologize, it's kind of a long list.
I
Oh,
need to
just,
turn that on again. Yeah.
you can leave it on when you're done for the next person.
I'm sorry, would you say that, is it something for me there?
Go right
Oh,
ahead.
okay, thanks. My name is Denham Lunt, and I live on Sunrise Avenue, 38 Sunrise Avenue. I am a close neighbor and friend of many of the people sitting behind me. I think you'll hear from several of them, but maybe a raise of hands. Anybody here from our neighborhood, folks? Yep, looks like it's so. So I know I can speak for many of them, but they can certainly speak for themselves. I decided that, and I'm happy to be here to speak. I think I'd like to build thoughts around the conservation side of it as easy to stray from, but that's where we're going to go. I'd like to refer to a fairly recent MESA, I believe it's called, application by Noble Homes, whom I know fairly well, design, which requested a review by Mass Wildlife. It's a state operation. You probably know about them. And this step was accomplished less than 3 months ago. It's done to determine if Mass Wildlife finds that the developer's plans have any impact on a variety of important species within the areas under observation. So this jives well with Cindy Pease's remarks, just another angle on a similar situation. The only findings surprisingly listed 3 plants as threatened. I think maybe Bucky mentioned that himself earlier. It leads to a more than interesting point. There was no mention of any wild animals within the confines of the 32 acres that are now held by the property owners. The whole property is an animal habitat. As direct abutters, and I am one, overlooking the build, maybe, we know this. All current abutters in our neighborhood have spent many, many years watching a variety of animals walking, running, and even sleeping within these acres. For years, it's been called the wildlife corridor. The animals include bears, coyotes, bobcats, deer, fisher cats, muskrats, raccoons, and anything else you can think of. And we know that they're out there and can prove it with pictures snapped through the years. And this doesn't even address the unique bird population, which is huge. We know they're out there also. We think this calls for a serious look, as many of us feel that the movement of these important animals on their trips north and south, yes, and bordered by the Connecticut River, rely on the safety nets of the now undeveloped acreage. So, please be advised that the acreage slated for development lies squarely in the confined paths of the wildlife corridor. And that's my story for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll leave this on if it's helpful.
Barbara Ferrante?
Hi, I'm Barbara Ferranti and I live at 26 Sunrise Avenue. Excuse me, one of the abutters. I just have a couple questions I want you to think about. First, how is this project being presented with only stage 1 Noble Homes materials available? There is no stage 2 information for Valley Housing Co-op as well. Doesn't the Conservation Commission need all of this information to make a decision? And my second question is, does Noble Homes have to file a forest cutting plan before taking down any trees? There's a lot of trees that have come down. We can hear the chainsaws left and right, and I witnessed some hiking today. This is in accordance with the Greenfield Conservation Commission E-Code, and is Valley Housing Co-op required to do the same? I invite all of you to come to our backyard at 26 Sunrise Avenue and see what a horrible impact this is going to have. Thank you.
Do we address questions as we go, or do we?
Not really supposed to.
Okay.
I think we should wait till the end because it is a long list.
Yeah, okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Number 4, Skip. I'm sorry, I can't read your last name.
Skip Descovich. I live at 23 Turners Falls Road. And I guess the questions I have is it says on the print that I have that the sewer and the water is going to end at Stone Farm Lane. Where does it go from there? I know you're going to have to pump it up. Have you guys done a flow rate on the water supply to see if it's going to be adequate for you? And where are you going to tie it in? So I guess those are my questions. Is your pump station in a building? Or is it out exposed to the elements? So I guess those are the 3 questions I have. Thank you. Yeah, I've been a plumber for 50 years.
Lisa Gilbo.
Hi, folks. My name's Lisa Gilbo. I live at 14 Sunrise Avenue, and I came here tonight with a totally different speech, but after seeing the projects and some of the layouts, I feel totally disheartened. You know, there's so much to take into consideration concerning the development of this property because of where it's located. This area is essentially a natural habitat with tons of diverse wildlife and a natural corridor for animals to travel along. It's one of the prettiest, quiet cul-de-sac areas in Greenfield. I know that there's a need for affordable housing. I respect what everybody's trying to do. But they're taking and building a huge project in a very small, tight area. And they're going to have such a impact on this beautiful preserve. It's a natural habitat. And as everybody said, there's all kinds of animals. And just because you don't see them doesn't mean they're not there. And it really makes me sad that the developers and the land trust are not taking this into consideration. And I just want to point out that the Valley Land Trust, one of the things that they say on their website is that they want to protect the natural habitat and the natural environment. And I just don't see that happening with the size of this project. And I really think it's just too big for the area. And the other thing that I'm concerned about is once we have potentially 36 units or more, there's going to be people walking down in that area and that's going to impact the area. I'm also concerned with how it's going to impact the sewer system, the main water line, and just in general, that's a narrow road that goes down there. It's very tight impact area, and I just don't see all these trucks and this long-term project going on down there. It's just really disheartening. And I hope you guys will take all that into consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Ethier? Ethier?
Close enough. Chris Ethier, 26 Sunrise Avenue. We've actually formed a committee or a coalition. We're called Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. You're looking at them. We're strongly against this build out. It's in an area that it doesn't fit. I don't know how else to say it. We're not against housing per se. We are feeling like protectors of our area. I keep hoping somebody will call me a NIMBY because I will shake their hand. The area that bothers me the most is when you come into our area, the Connecticut River is a very unique area there. It's not like any other place in the Connecticut. You've got the Turner's Falls Canal, which diverts 2/3, 3/4 of the water most of the time around our area. Well, that's a wonderful thing because you go down there and it's really beautiful. It's, it's a protected area. The only known area for the short-nosed sturgeon is there. But also, all of a sudden, they close the canal, and then the whole thing comes up in water, and it's equally beautiful. But I'm wondering when we get into this 100, 200-foot barrier, where is that taken? Is that taken when the water is at its a quarter of what it is most of the time? Or is it taken if on the main flow of the water? That's a question I really want to see answered. First Light's protected zone, is it, what does it do? The other major thing is, and Skip talked about a little bit, we've already had water and sewer problems. I mean, we were without water for, what was it, 2 days? 2 days. Through the pipes being not quite strong enough and a valve going. I'm sure it happens, but this thing was heavily deteriorated. We all went up there and kind of looked at it and went, wow. We've had some problems with the sewer systems. And again, we're talking 70-year-old houses. It could be quite a unique piece. We've talked about the animals that are there. It's just phenomenal. It's, and I could name it 3 more that weren't named right off. But you're talking about a condominium here, and condominiums has special requirements, and lighted parking lots, lighted walkways. You're going to just drive the animals out of there. And it is the only wildlife corridor that goes from Sugarloaf Mountain to the Vermont border. It's there. It exists. You want to see some pretty bears? We got pictures. We got 3 cubs climbing the tree across the street from me. We hope that the MESA study coordinates some of this and really brings it up as something that should be protected more than anything else. And that's, you're talking about doubling the number of units in our neighborhood, doubling. And it's one way in, one way out. That's not your problem. I know traffic is somebody else. But we hope that you take a good look at this and get some more answers to a lot of unanswered questions in this permit process. I don't want to list them all. You're going to have more people coming in saying it. Thank you. Bye now.
Thank you. Patty Cromack?
My name's Patty Cromack. I live at 11 Sunrise Ave, and I'm basically going to reiterate what they've all said. But if this is approved, what's to stop them from going and doubling it? That's a concern. You talked about the slope and how he's going to put grass or meadow or something on it. Well, it's already eroding. And people with those homes on that ridge, they're going to have worse problems than they do now if something serious isn't done. The issue with the animals, if Chris talked about light issues, they're gonna have the noise from the pump house. You're talking about 3 years of construction. And also the stress on the old utility that we have. We've already had, as Chris said, problems with sewer and water. So thank you.
Oh, sorry. Betty. Sorry, I'm.
Hi, my name is Barry Julis. I live in 9 Valley View Drive. I've been there for 29 years. And I don't like the changes in the neighborhood. First of all, there's not going to be any way in and out. We only have one access. If the ambulance comes, or like last year, we have when the wires come down, it skips house. We were stuck. We couldn't get out. I had to leave my car all the way down on Federal Street, and I walked home. Plus, we have problems with the sewer, with the water last year, the animals. It will be a lot of people coming and going in our neighborhood. So that's very concerning to me. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
You. Beth Lorenz.
My name is Beth Lorenz and I live at 39 Sunrise Avenue, and I've been a resident there since 1986. I happen to be overseeing the vernal pool, which is certified, and I'm very happy that it is. It's a little protection. I'd like to reiterate that this is only phase 1 of a phase 2, and then my understanding was additionally, Valley Community Land Trust wanted to create another opening or access way to do hiking up to Poet Seat. So I think that the stages of doing 1, 2, and 3 and not looking at the bigger picture of great concern. Because when you're talking about what you're doing and you're looking at runoff and you're working at mitigation or erosion or how to do perhaps protective vegetation and replacement and the proper gravel path or drive paths, if you only look at one isolated part of it, which I understand for permitting, they want that to be able to start and begin a process. You still have to have all of the other expectations met to be able to accomplish it because you're going to be using some of the same surfaces or creating the same roadway venues. A question on Woods Road Access Road, or the road that they call Woods Road. That currently is just, I think, dirt and vegetation that's just been driven over. I don't think it's really a gravel path. And a question is, how do they go in with the big trucks because you can't turn around? And that's really one of the concerns about this one-way egress, ingress that we have going on with our properties. The second one is there actually any kind of discussion about the erosion from the bank from Sunrise Avenue down or Valley View off to the side or around it? Because in the house that I sit in, which is overlooking the vernal pool, I actually put curbing in to stop erosion when I first moved in there, which was in 86. It was built in 64. And I have if you'd like to come walk my pathway, which is my driveway, which is paved, the curb is actually moved almost 10 inches in the time that I've lived there. So you do have a lot of different erosion, and if they don't have a proper plan for the parts that are, you talked about everything, which was the drive path and the parking area and the front or the Valley housing side, but no discussion was about the back side, which is still going to have runoff. And I didn't hear anything, which again, I don't understand some of these things, but seasonal runoff should include removal of snow and the impact of snow with its seasonal part of that property. And right now, everything seemed to be discussing rain and water during autumn, summer, and spring. But winter still is also a critical time, which then impacts any of the infrastructure, which is the water and sewer. And the final question, which, and I apologize because I was trying very hard to not worry about seeing a map and noting it, the pumping station that they have as yet a defined and developed choice of what they're using on the plans that I saw at the Conservation Commission. I think that in order for you to begin your process again of the permitting, you would need to have that verifiably decided upon as part of the element of where its placement is, what type of proper buffer and drainage is going to be working with that. And then it also had a notation that it's not only for only phase one, but it's also for phase two as an additional connector. And when I saw that, I went, well, now where are they going to go with that? Because the more that you have, again, the conversation of more with the opportunity for the ADUs that has been opened up in our area, I'd really like to know how the pumping station buffer drainage and flow affects vegetation and location and how its placement is. You know, is it in the right place? Is it the way it's going to need to be? And is it the only one? Because my thought, and this might have come from my plumber friend, is that that might impact the intersection of High Street and Stone Farm Lane because of the way that the shit has to flow. I don't, right? And then I think water flows next to it, but not with it. You know, it's that marriage of wonderfulness. And then my clarity, just so that maybe it was something that you're aware of, I think the water was expected to hook up in Valley View at the end of it, but the sewer would have to then just flow around the street of Stone Farm Lane Road, whatever it is. I think those are some of the critical things I think that they need to be reviewed before there's any final decision making. And again, impact of stage or phase two as a combination, because you're driving over the same things. Thank you.
Marcia Lent.
My name is Marcia Lunt. I live at 38 Sunrise Avenue in Greenfield. My concern is that Sunrise Avenue was built from a lot of giant rock and stone that came off of 91. I don't know how many people know this. I assume you do. And we have huge boulders in our yards. If you want to plant a tree, you've got a 50-50 chance you're going to be able to, because there could be a giant boulder where you want to put it. So I'm concerned about the mountain. Our house is the last house on Sunrise on the right-hand side. And from my house, those houses that they're going to build are going to be directly below. I'm concerned about the destabilization of the mountain and how the water coming off that mountain is what's going to happen if you're going to put housing on the mountain. I can look out my window in different times of the year and you can see the vapor coming out of the mountain where there's all these big boulders that are kind of joined together. So you can see that. You probably don't see it because you probably haven't been there in the fall or winter, but it is there. So I know that there's a lot, not just in my yard, but all the way across this mountain. There's a lot of boulders. And what will happen when that mountain's destabilized? They're taking down trees. What happens when the trees are gone and there's nothing to hold that land back anymore or hold those boulders in place? That's what I see happening in the future. So I'm concerned about that. And I think it's a concern for the Conservation Commission because it will affect everything from there down. And I thank you for hearing me and thank you very much.
Thank you. Andrew Leaf, or Andrea, sorry, Andrew? Andrew, okay.
So my name is Andrew Leaf. I live at 18 Sunrise Avenue, and I am recently become a member of the Sunrise Neighborhood Coalition. If you'll forgive me, I'd like to start by reading a passage from the Conservation Commission's regulations, and then pose a couple of questions that are prompted by it. I quote, "The commission is authorized to require the application to pay a fee for the costs and expenses borne by the commission for securing specific outside consultants, including engineers, wetland scientists, land surveyors, wildlife biologists, or other experts deemed necessary by the commission to come to a final decision on the application. This fee is called the consultant fee. The specific consultant services may include, but are not limited to, performing or verifying the accuracy of a resource area survey and delineation, analyzing resource area functions and values, including wildlife habitat evaluations, hydrogeologic and drainage analysis, and researching environmental or land use law." I'm sure you're all familiar with that. Now, I gather that the project engineer has indicated that the firm Oxbow Associates has been hired to do this critical assessment work, which has, I believe, been performed, but their report on it has not yet been submitted and is still pending. If I'm incorrect, I'm happy to be stand corrected. So I have two questions regarding these issues. One, if Oxbow's assessments have not yet been submitted and evaluated, why is Noble Homes' application now up for, or close to be for a vote on approval? Second, was Oxbow Associates selected and hired to do the assessment work by the Conservation Committee itself or by Noble Homes? If the latter, is that not a significant conflict of interest? Thank you.
Thank you. Al Norman?
Commission members, for the record, my name is Al Norman. I live on Grinnell Street in Greenfield. What has been submitted here is a partial segmented proposal that entirely leaves out phase 2, as you've heard stated earlier. Where is the Valley Housing Co-op in this plan? Why isn't it here tonight? To measure the full impact of this project, the Conservation Commission should continue the hearing until the co-op presents its full plans. The CC should not consider a phase 3 by either party unless it is submitted with the first 2 phases. My concern is that these developers are trying to avoid major development review by splitting their pieces up into parts. I don't want to see them come back with a phase 3, and I hope you won't consider anything more until the full phases are here, because you don't have a full project here. You have a phase 1 and you have a phase 2, but it's not being presented here at all. The proposed sewage pumping design details are still under development. That's their quote. It needs an 8-inch line from the French King and will require the entire Stone Farm lane to be ripped up. This will create higher adverse impacts on the buffer zone than if these units were not hooked up to city sewage at all. Why are you allowing them to have a sewage system that A, may not work, B, may be extremely expensive, and C, would be less impactful if it was with septic systems? The Conservation Commission should advise the NHESP that we are concerned about disruption to wildlife habitat, breeding, nesting, etc. That may not concern you, but it concerns the neighbors, obviously, and it concerns the NHESP. The NHESP could issue a no-take order, and the applicant should be told tonight to stop cutting trees and no work should be done on that site until a decision comes from the NHESP. The applicant has given no indication of how many trees on their parcel will be cut down in order to accommodate cleared areas needed to build 34 dwellings. Noble Homes should submit a tree cutting plan as well as the Valley Housing Co-op so that we can see the extent of the damage being proposed to that woodlot area. The CC is required by its local ordinance to contract with outside consultants, including wildlife botanists, and collect a fee from the applicant rather than having the applicant secure their own wildlife botanist contractors to perform outside consultation. Was the outside reporting to the CC? Was this contractor or to the applicant? How could you possibly listen to someone claim, an engineer, a botanist, an engineer saying we had our botanist go out? That was your job to do that. That was the Conservation Commission should have secured its own consultant to give you an independent look, not an outside consultant who will always tell you every project is good looking and above average. I'm so tired of hearing this year after year after year, not just here, but at other boards in Greenfield. It should be not allowed anymore. And I hope you won't accept this without verification from an independent consultant that you hire, that you pay for with their money, and that comes to you with their report. I'm close to done. Did the conservation consider hiring an independent stormwater consultant? I assume the slope of this parcel close to the banks of the Connecticut will lead to a higher load of sedimentation runoff. And finally, if Noble Homes had been here before these people, they would have been here tonight complaining about these people, because no one wants to see their neighborhood suddenly double in size and may even have more units from these people. I don't know. 34 may not be the end of it if they come back in another segment. So I think it's something that needs to be looked at seriously, whether you have done your job in protecting the neighborhood and these people by accepting comments from consultants that are on the payroll of the applicant. And finally, I want to note that I'm very proud of all the people who showed up tonight. It takes a lot of stamina to sit through an hour and a half of listening to things you can't see about issues you don't understand, and then be able to speak your truth to a conservation commission about what's happening to your neighborhood. I hope it doesn't happen to you ever. This is not my neighborhood. I live next door to a project that never should have been allowed in Greenfield, but I don't live in this neighborhood. I hope it doesn't happen to your neighborhood, but I hope you will realize that you don't have a full proposal. Please put this pending the application coming from phase 2. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, now we're gonna move to online.
I came in after the list. Can I comment?
Oh, yeah, let me add you. I'll put you, what's your name?
Sal.
Sal, S-A-L, Sal? Okay.
Thank you.
And what's your name?
Sarah Brown.
Sarah?
And there's one more.
Okay, and what's your name? Don? Okay. Just give us a minute. We'll just continue down the list. Okay, so Jen, online with your hand raised, you're welcome to unmute your mic.
Can you hear me?
Here, let me. Oh, what's happening?
Just want to make sure you can hear me.
Okay, we can hear you now.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jennifer Austin, and I live at 33 Sunrise, and she, her is my preferred pronouns, please. I have 3 things I want to bring up that have been brought up by others. Number 1, I have major concerns with traffic getting in and out of our neighborhood. At the first or the second neighborhood meeting, someone from the land trust had mentioned their hopes of creating a park-like area with the playground and the hiking trails, and their hopes of creating this new kind of riverfront park, and inviting the greater public beyond the neighborhood to enjoy the area. Has there been any traffic studies, and basically any other studies really, with respect to a park down in that area? What the impact of 22 new homes, including the second phase, which we know almost nothing about. And again, the extra traffic coming in from folks outside the neighborhood. I just don't really see any other options for the additional egress down to High Street. I think if there were to be a fire right out near our current one small little road coming in, now with the number of homes and people in our neighborhood, it would be a real problem because of that. Secondly, is the developer planning on upgrading the water and sewer systems for the entire existing neighborhood? We recently had a water break at the end of Sunrise due to its age. It recently happened. Has the DPW commented on how 22 new condos, how it will affect existing systems, along with their plans for phase 2, and again with inviting the public to enjoy this park-like atmosphere? And the last thing I wanted to mention was, I know that others mentioned this earlier, but I would like to reiterate the concerns of our local wildlife that we see on a literally daily, weekly, monthly basis in the neighborhood. We regularly have bear, bobcat, fox, deer come through. And literally just a few days ago, there was a neighborhood alert this past weekend that there was a bear in the town lot just behind Sunrise Ave. So someone else had mentioned that it's a nice, quiet, single family home area. And I feel like it's going to change the entire area that we all bought into and that we enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Okay, Sal.
Hello, thank you for your time. My name is Sal Sincata. I am a resident of 110 Stone Farm Lane, a neighbor of many in this room, and a hopeful neighbor of Bucky and Noah's development. I'm not interested in this project for my own housing needs, as when Valley Housing Co-op acquired this property on Stone Farm Lane, it gave me, for the first time in my life, access to long-term affordable housing. So big gratitude, but I'm here to support Noah and Bucky. I'm also an environmental educator and a science teacher by profession. And I spend a lot of time in the woods out back, a lot of time, especially it's summer now, I'm on my summer break. I'm sitting there all day, every day. I'm seeing those bobcats, those bears, that wildlife that everyone is referring to. And I want to say that I both relate and resonate to comments here tonight concerned with the preservation of our forests and biodiversity at the base of Stone Farm Lane. And I do want to tell you also that many minds regularly come together in the Housing Co-op's Land Stewardship Committee meetings, myself included, and are setting plans for long-term groundwork needed for a healthier forest on Stone Farm Lane through management of invasive species and reintroduction of native species and trail maintenance and all of that good stuff. I would like to point out, I think first and foremost, so I'm in 110, which is the farther of the two duplexes. And this development, I know that it may seem significant, but is actually, and we saw this on the maps, quite small in terms of the scale of the land. It is going to exist between my current apartment and the houses at the top of the hill in front of me, which is not a ton of space. And my understanding is that was intentional. The way that it was created, sort of clustered to minimize impact on the surrounding ecology. I am so happy to hear that there's a coalition. As a member of a cooperative, I love that there's a coalition going down. I hope that we can be friends someday. And I do want to say that if you're concerned, sorry, allow me to restart. So if something that you can do to protect our local biodiversity is convert your lawns into pollinator habitat, meadow, that is the impact that you can have in your collective, all of your lawns. Turn them into habitat, right? Sure, you don't have to, but if you're concerned about what your impact can be on your environmental system. Sure. I urge my neighbors to plant for pollinators. That's all. Goodbye.
Thank you. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. Sarah Brown, 112 Stone Farm Lane. Thanks, everybody, for being here. This is a very long public comment, and I appreciate the work that you do. I'm a board member of the Valley Community Land Trust, and I'm also a neighbor of this proposed project, and I'm part of the housing cooperative. And I just want to speak from a high level about the mission of the Community Land Trust, which is to integrate human habitat within the natural environment and to not see these at odds. We're interested in responsible development that is minimizing the impact on the land, and instead of seeing humans as having only a detrimental impact, that we can actually have a positive impact. So I don't know how much that's like in your scope of the bordering wetland vegetation, but just to speak from a high level, I think that's the goal here. And just that the development that was previously approved was for 14 duplexes that were to subdivide the entire land and not leave any public trails and to move wetlands over. So I think that this scale of impacting 3 acres on 32 acres is really best case scenario where we can have meet the goals of like environmental justice for affordable housing and also protecting nature and potentially consider future conservation restrictions, or we would like to work with the city for like a public trail easement. And we're also interested in working with the state on an invasives management plan. And also the land trust itself requires a land stewardship plan that is approved every 5 years, which we have submitted. Yeah, I think that's all. And thanks everyone for your time.
Thank you. Don?
Thanks for listening to me. Came somewhat unprepared tonight, I have to admit. I haven't been following the project nearly as closely as my neighbors back here. We're on Valley View.
Can I pause you for, will you
Yep.
state your name? and
Oh, I'm sorry.
address?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Don Barisano.
Okay, and
Barisano.
you live in that?
4 Valley View.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on the corner as you go, basically come down around the corner on the dirt road that leads to the project. So we have, some skin in the game there, but my point was more, I might be somewhat unique in this situation in that, I don't know if you guys remember me and my sons, but we built 2 houses in Greenfield in the last 4 years. 2 2-acre lots, one on Log Plain Road and one on Pickett Lane. Both were wetland delineated you know, pretty strictly. And one of them was deemed as riverfront after we bought the property. It was originally wetland. That's, you know, it was sold to us as wetland. Riverfront changed the game completely. And it was after we bought it. And we were told that it was because a local Greenfield ordinance, as you were talking about, was going to be enforced all of a sudden, even though that was already on the books, so we rolled with it. But just the point is, with both houses, it cost us, well, in that case, with that house on Picket Lane, with that ordinance, it dramatically changed the layout of the house. Basically, the front of the house is facing the woods. The side of the house is facing the road because of the restricted area. We followed it strictly, and that was what was, you know, sort of demanded by the commission. And you guys were great to work with, don't get me wrong, for sure. So that, and then my other son's house, I don't know if you recall, it's a forest, I mean, of 2 acres, pretty much. We were told that we couldn't even mow the lawn, basically, or cut a twig, you know, before there was complete approval across the board by the Conservation Commission, let alone cut down trees like we've all been hearing happening. So I don't understand how we get from what we went through to what's happening behind our neighborhood. I don't understand the politics of it. I can tell you that one of my son's houses, despite the forest of trees there were 5 trees, you might recall, that we had to cut at 15 feet high for birds, for woodpeckers, despite the 2 acres of trees behind it. It cost us thousands of dollars to have them cut to 15 feet, but we listened to the commission. So anyways, I guess the point I'm getting at is, again, I'm not sure how we get from super strict with just a regular schmo like me to what I can gather from, I have not been studying the site plans just tonight, but it seemed to me that there's already some, you know, sort of allowances that are happening within buffer zones, several, right? I mean, whether it's the 25-foot buffer, the 100-foot buffer, the 200-foot riverfront. I mean, we're already pushing into those zones. And I don't understand why. Like, I just don't get that. What's the politics and why the hypocrisy if it's going to be approved? That's it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Don. Okay, I also want to see if there is anybody else online that would like an opportunity to talk. I don't see any hands raised on my screen, but if Rose Ferrari Totzer, you could unmute your mic. Rose, there you go.
Hi, this is actually Christopher Totzer, Rose's husband.
Oh, okay. Hi,
Sorry,
Chris.
I'm on her phone. We were there with my daughter, so we had to leave early.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. We live at 15 Valley View Drive in Greenfield, directly abutting the proposed property. And, you know, a lot of the sentiments have already been spoken about. And I'm just, from being at the meeting, the first item on the agenda, there was unforeseen problems with the construction that was happening. And being so close to these buffer zones and the vernal pool, there is not a 0 probability, but there's a chance that things can happen that could directly impact the wildlife of the area. So I just think that that should be taken into consideration, that even though you have all these plans, that things do happen from time to time, and, you know, they could have terrible impacts to the wildlife in that area. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online that would like the opportunity to speak?
I would like to speak. I can't raise my hand for some reason.
That's okay. You can just state
Okay.
your name and address for the record.
Okay. My name's Ari Oken. I live at 110 Franklin Street in Greenfield. I just want to have just a quick comment. I mean, I've been part of the Valley Housing Co-op now, and working on the land as part of the Land Stewardship Committee that we meet almost weekly to discuss how to best take care of this land that's been degraded over years before we purchased the land. Many of the comments I heard tonight were, I mean, just, there's a clear misunderstanding and bias about what we're trying to do. And, I am a forester I used to work for the U.S. Forest Service, and the state of the land is completely, in many areas, overrun with invasive species, knotweed. I can list every single one. There's tons. And I mean, and in the conditions that, we heard tonight about the wildlife and, working towards old growth forests is what we're trying to do, and, preserve the beauty of the land. And just wanted to put that out there to people who are making claims without really knowing who we are. We're, Sarah and Sal mentioned about how we're, working on affordable housing and land stewardship and conservation issues for our community. And the people that show up tonight are a certain part of the community of Greenfield, but there's a lot of other people who care about all of these issues in the way that we do with Valley Housing Cooperative. And we would love to, have community access on the land to enjoy the beautiful river and wildlife. And we're going to be working towards that over many years to steward this land back to health, because it's not in health. It's not in good health. This is highly degraded land from the mining operation. It's burning bush, euonymus. There's bittersweet everywhere. There's knotweed in many areas. And we're working with Mass Wildlife to come up with an invasive management plan. Just want you to know that we're really care about these issues deeply, and our community as in general. And so we would love to, work together with the neighbors instead of them speculating behind our backs, walking on our land. I don't understand what, just walking around and stuff like that. So, I mean, we would love that to happen, but just want to, have an open conversation with neighbors instead of all this speculation that is unfounded, clearly, and not really relevant to what we're talking about around the wetlands. So, okay. So I just wanted to stop there, but thank you everyone for, listening for so long to this meeting.
Thank you, Ari. Okay, I'm not seeing any other hands raised online. I'll give anyone one more opportunity to speak. If you're online and would like to comment, please unmute your mic.
Just as a reminder, we have done a little over an hour of public comment, so.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm not seeing anyone, and we've worked through the list
Okay.
of the people present.
Well, those were wonderful comments, and we really appreciate everybody coming and the thoughtful comments that you shared, and some of the research that you've done, and some of the insights that you shared. I don't know how the commission feels. I have an opinion, but I don't know if you guys thinking.
One thing that I just think would be really helpful is to clarify the jurisdiction of this commission and the questions that can be addressed, also the stage where we're at in terms of how the process is. I would love to, Kristen, if you or someone could just walk through the
Yeah.
process, because it's a little unclear and some of the questions reflect that unclarity.
Yeah, first of all, I think that a lot of these questions, first of all, it's wonderful that you have a coalition and you're all together on this. I think a lot of your comments are really more planning board related. So we really just regulate wetlands and wetland jurisdictional resource areas and what occurs within those areas. And this project does occur within some jurisdictional areas, but a lot of your comments, which are really thoughtful, I think will go a long way with the planning board. So don't lose steam. Definitely carry those comments over there. And then as far as the endangered species stuff goes, so we have in the state two kind of like regulatory thresholds. There's priority habitat and estimated habitat. And if estimated habitat that overlaps with our jurisdiction and priority habitat does not. And this site is mostly, there is a little bit of estimated habitat, but it's mostly in priority habitat. So they're going through a separate regulatory review under the Mass Endangered Species Act, or MISA, as a couple people brought up, and that is being reviewed by the Natural Heritage and Endangered Species Program. And it sounds like there are a couple of rare plants. It doesn't sound like there are any rare vertebrates, at least not that the state knows about. And that's a separate regulatory umbrella that we kind of really can't get involved with unless there's estimated habitat, which there really isn't.
Kristen, can you just clarify the priority habitat for NHESP is for plants? And
Priority
estimated
habitat is
habitat-
for rare species. Estimated habitat is
Yeah.
for rare wildlife.
Yeah. And
Right,
the
plant-
wildlife is
plant
what?
species.
And we can only regulate based on the estimated
Yes.
for wildlife. And that's not what NHESP is reviewing currently.
It sounds like that. Yeah, that
I can
again,
add-
it sounds like I'm missing some of this project information.
I can add
so-
to that. So under the Wetlands Protection Act, which the Conservation Commission is in charge of implementing, estimated habitat is written into that law. Priority habitat is not. However, the NHESP process covers both of those. So they are in the middle of the process for priority habitat because there were rare or endangered plants spotted on the site at one point, and so they had the biological survey. So they cannot move forward with the project until they get that approval letter from the state, but it's not under the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction because it's plants versus wildlife. I hope that clarifies.
And just to
Yeah.
clarify, we don't set what is a priority or estimated habitat. The Conservation Commission doesn't. So we have no choice to make it estimated habitat.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
even if someone told us there was an endangered animal there, we're not the ones who decide whether it's estimated habitat or not.
Yeah, that's Mass Wildlife, correct?
I believe so.
Okay.
Natural heritage, yep.
Yeah, the natural heritage under Mass Wildlife, I believe. But like if anyone ever spotted something ever, they could always go to the state and say, oh, I spotted this there, because they keep running records of where different things live. So a lot of active community members do that when they see rare plants or endangered plants or anything they know, they talk to the state about it. So
Just like
I
the vernal
will-
pool there is verified. You know, it's a sort of a similar
It's certified, yeah.
idea.
I will just obviously clarify though that you do need landowner permission before you can turn in like a certified vernal pool or a rare species record. We don't want people trespassing.
that's a good
Throw
clarification.
that out there. Do you think that answered some of the clarification thoughts you had, Travis?
Another question, another theme that came up was where we are in the process about, you know, what reports have been required. So this is the first time I've reviewed this.
Mhm.
Can you or whoever has had continuity here talk about how many times this has come before us and what the process has been?
So this particular application is the first time. With the city's permitting process, the very first stop for an application is the Conservation Commission. So any applicants cannot submit their application to other boards and have that process start until the Conservation Commission has approved it. So, you know, there's many other departments that this has to go through, which they may have submitted it, but they can't be heard until we are done with our part of it.
And so this is the first time we've heard this discussion and we've received this application.
Yes.
So this is the point at which if we were going to ask for additional information or require additional reports, this is when it would happen.
Yes.
Because I was going to add that they have to submit all that information to us initially with all the plans. So we didn't know they were coming before us, so we can't require them to do anything because we didn't know they were coming. So they have to, they have to have all the information first. So they hire their consultants to do it. And then if we feel there's a problem with it, then we can have them.
Yeah, then tonight would be when
Just
we
wanna
would talk about that.
whether
Yeah.
we do it.
I am surprised to learn that this is a segmented phased project. I thought that,
It did
so
say
under,
that-
under the Mass Endangered Species Act, for example, where they're going through their separate review by the state, there is an anti-segmentation clause. They will be reviewing, the state will be reviewing the entire application, all phases. I haven't personally seen any phases beyond what was presented tonight. So that was interesting to hear from the public. I don't know.
Yeah, so in the plans, the only page that, there is one page that refers to phase 2. But it's not even the same applicant that would be doing phase 2, which is why it's here. I'm going to share my screen real fast so everyone can see.
Still the same owner.
It's the same owner, it's on the same parcel, but it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
so it's not Noble Home. So here's the part we're talking about tonight on the right hand side of the screen. And then on the left, this is, see how it says concept plan, Valley
Yeah.
Housing Co-op. So this is like, yeah, just something down the road that they're conceptualizing. But yeah, Kristen, I remember in another meeting, you mentioned something about like different phases coming in at different points and when that is and is not frowned upon. So is that what you were talking about with the NHESP process?
Well, I just know that under that regulatory umbrella, there is an anti-segmentation clause, but we don't actually have that. And it's unfortunate because it would be nice to see the full big picture. And, you know, when you think about 3 acres out of 32, you know, that's not so much, but this is obviously more than that. So
Is any of the area that's in the phase 2 area in our jurisdiction?
I don't think it is.
I don't think it is either. But with the delineation, I don't, Bucky, can you answer that? Did they delineate the entire parcel or was it just the area that you guys were?
Yes, Karen Environmental did review the full 32 acres. A lot of it has been flagged, and we have additional survey loaded for the Valley Housing Co-op portion that is underway. And I can understand, in retrospect, having, using the words phase 1, phase 2, it certainly connotes that these are linear projects, one then the next, understandably by the same entity or driving force. That is not the case. And the only reason we're even talking about the Valley Housing Co-op aspect of this project is because there are 3 parties involved. This is a planning board issue, so I don't want to go too far into it here, but effectively the property owner is looking for special permits. Those special permits do warrant looking at any potential change that could happen to the property. Since we know the separate party, not related to Noble Homes, Valley Housing Co-op is looking at doing additional work. To be as forthright as possible with the planning board, we are showing everything that could conceivably happen. However, if Noble Homes disappeared off the face of the earth, the Valley Housing Co-op project could still move forward. Valley Housing Co-op disappeared off the face of the earth, the Noble Homes project could move forward. There are different entities, different bodies, different schedules, different finances. It is just that both of these parties are leasing from the Valley Community Land Trust, the landowner. So it does kind of conflate their different ideas and goals in the public hearing process. But they are separate entities, separate projects, just on the same piece of land.
Another item I wanted to address that had come up was the question about how much wood can be cut down before a cutting plan is required. And that is 4,000 board feet you can find that on the DCR website. And if an abutter believes that that much wood is being cut down or is in danger of it, you can notify us, you can notify Service Forestry. They're the people who regulate that law, the Chapter 32, 132. So that was a specific question. I wanted to make sure you
Yeah.
guys knew what the process was.
At our site visit we did on Friday, we did come across like a little zone plot kind of thing off the Woods Road, the utility road, that we were surprised to see. And everybody we were with was surprised to see it, including Bucky and Noah. And I don't know if Bucky, if you ever had a conversation about that with the owners, but it wasn't associated with this specific project with Noble Homes. It was, I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I don't have further information on that. That was not by Noble Homes. It was totally out of the blue, and it was I'm assuming it was the underlying landowner who did that, but I have no more knowledge about that, and it is definitely not part of our project. And I don't believe it was within any jurisdictional areas anyway, other than the potential need for a cutting plan at 4,000 board feet. But that is a different party, so I don't have any more information.
And I think Kristen already addressed this, but sewage questions and issues are planning board issues. So there's a lot of different steps that this goes through. So you'll be addressing your direct questions to different parties about those things. Thank you for the correction.
He said zoning board, not planning board, for the people online who couldn't hear. Going along with that though, could you just talk a little bit about the pumping station that came up a couple of times and whether that would be in a jurisdictional area for us?
Sure. The wastewater pumping station, this project could go forward with either an enormous septic system, where we would be clear cutting a huge amount of area, flattening a huge amount of area, for a similar cost to installing a municipal grade pump station. So we're going to get much better treatment at the municipal plant than at with the septic system. That's almost always the case. And in terms of its location, it is outside of all jurisdictional resource areas. That the sanitary sewer pipe itself, the pipe does run through the buffer zone, but the station is outside of the 100-foot buffer as well as any riverfront.
Yeah, could we show that like on maybe
Yeah,
you could
I
share
was
the
just
plan?
looking for it
Maybe
as well.
could Bucky share the plan and
Yeah,
then
Bucky,
he could
could
point it
you-
out?
Sure. Yes.
Here, hold on, let me stop sharing it.
Okay.
And then while you're showing the plan, I had one other question that somebody mentioned that usually we mention, but we forgot about was snow disposal and whether that would be plowed onto jurisdictional areas or not.
Okay, well, first, let me start with the pump station here, and I'm going to zoom in as best I can to show everything. And this is the road. The duplexes are to the right off of the screen. You can see the 100-foot buffer for the C series flags of the wetland. And over here, another 200 feet away is the proposed pump station. It is true that the technical details of the guts of this station are not yet worked out. That design is really all internal to the footprint of that, and it's just a matter of pumps and valves and controls. Yeah. And we're going to be working that out with the DPW and the planning board as they need. So we're not close to any of those resource areas for the pump station. And then the other question was regarding snow storage. So,
could you
yes,
could you on a more zoomed out map show where the pump station was? Because that was a little hard to tell.
Yeah, so Stone Farm Lane, if you're familiar, it comes down a pretty steep hill and then turns and levels out. This is all the flat road. So about halfway between the bottom of the hill and the duplexes is where the pump station is going to be.
It's
is
just
it on?
before that turnoff, for the people that are
Yeah.
here that live up there, there's like a turnoff area. It's before that as you're heading towards the condo or the duplexes.
Yeah,
Right by
there's
where
a-
that, the
the
car
Woods
is.
Road.
There was a
Right by
car,
Woods
there was a
Road.
car.
Yeah, there was a car right there.
Right by where the car is.
Yeah. A different view of that. If we look at well, let's go back to this one. Here's the Woods access road. And though this is existing conditions, the proposed pump station is here. That's why there's just the limit of work line is bumped out just a little bit because there is, of course, going to be a hole dug here. So, we will be disturbing that area more than just doing the road. But that's the location.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, there's no. Can you re-
Yeah, and the snow removal.
Yes, so I do have some proposed snow stockpile locations. There's a whole bunch of them available. It is the case that a couple of them do fall within the buffer zones and the riverfront. So, we can modify those. I was just sort of trying to be generous and give the plow operators as much leeway as possible. I do know that, pushing snow is something of an art form, and it's a little difficult to know where the best places are. So if there are some areas that are, forbidden, I'd love to know that before we get to the planning board meeting. But to zoom in just a little bit, I know that this particular plan is not colored, but it's the one that shows the snow removal. So let me get a fatter hand here.
So it's the circle, all the circles basically say snow in the middle for the
Yes.
audience.
So internal to the circular drive, this is an area that will be available for pushing snow. It's impossible, to the north we have a shed, to the west we have a swale and a very steep hill. So this is not an okay place to put snow. Snow is just going to have to be stockpiled internal to the island. In fact, the subdivision rules would say that the areas that are internal to cul-de-sacs should be used for stormwater management when possible, but they're also a great place to put snow. Yes, some of that is within the 100-foot buffer, which is this sort of what I call phantom line. And I could totally ask where the duplexes are now pushing their snow from their existing driveways, but based upon the topography, there aren't a lot of locations. The end of their driveway is one area that's out of resource areas. Right now, this area is parking. We're actually taking the parking lot and moving it further away from the resource areas. And this is a nice flat area. We'll be able to store quite a bit of snow through there. But just considering, this, the proposed drive area and parking area, we can't go to the west resource areas. We can't go to the north. We can't go to the east. So we're going to the south. And that is within the 100-foot buffer, which is this arc that I'm tracing with my mouse. It is also within the 200-foot riverfront. Although I can't address it now, the duplex owners can, but my guess is this is a place where snow might be pushed today.
I think that's sufficient for now. I don't know, guys, we do have an agenda and we are way over time on this particular hearing. I personally would like to recommend a third-party peer review. Given the sensitivity of the resource areas with the certified vernal pool, the significant public attendance, I think that having our T's crossed and our I's dotted would be in the best interest of moving this forward and making sure that we're not missing anything in terms of the Wetlands Protection Act or stormwater standards or engineering stuff. Having this thoroughly third-party reviewed, I think will make everyone feel more comfortable. That's my opinion in effort of moving this along. That's what I think. What do you guys think?
We certainly would need more information. We don't have the MISA report, the Endangered Species Act report. So yeah, I think that'd be appropriate.
I believe we don't need the MESA report though, because there's no estimated habitat.
Oh, I
So there's
see.
nothing in our jurisdiction for that. I personally don't think we need a review on this because the impacts into buffer zones and resource areas are so small. And the riverfront area is already parking lot and lawn. And just for our local riverfront area, a very small chunk of that. And everything else is just buffer zone. So I think it would be overkill for a review. I do think I would ask the applicant if they're okay if we continue this to the next meeting, because we need their approval to do that. But I personally would not vote for a third-party review.
Other commissioners?
I'm okay with the delineation and stuff, but I am a little concerned with the stormwater. And I don't know, if, we'd have just that reviewed or not.
Okay.
Oh, yes, the mic.
I'm a little concerned with the stormwater. I'd just like to know a little bit more whether that's the best plan. But I agree with Travis as far as the rest of it's our jurisdiction is very little. So I don't know.
And I think for me, even the stormwater, like, if the stormwater was in a buffer zone or, or a resource area, I could see that. But, I mean, essentially, if that road cut just a little bit further north, they're not building any buildings in riverfront area or resource area. It's all out of our jurisdiction except for a little bit of a road and parking lot.
I don't like
And-
the stormwater management personally.
What's that, Kristen?
I'm concerned with the stormwater management. That's my concern that I raised at the beginning, and I'd love to have a professional review of that.
I mean, I was there on the site visit, and I mean, it's a huge pit, but it's also on the way to the vernal pool, so.
Given the amount of concern by the community, I think it's appropriate. And the area is a sensitive one, even if our jurisdictional area is very small that we're commenting on. I think it'd be worthwhile for that information to be available.
I think that's a valid comment too.
I'm curious, one of the questions from the public was about trucks going down that road and how they're going to turn around, and that will be in buffer zone. So I'm curious to know more information about that.
I will say if we are going to ask for a third-party review, I would ask that whoever is hired as a consultant to review it would go back and view this recording to hear all of the public comments and the commission's comments so that all of these questions are addressed in their evaluation of the
Yeah.
application. If it's under our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of comments that weren't under our jurisdiction, but although they were thoughtful.
Let's see. So where we are now is deciding and asking whether we can continue this to another meeting, correct?
Yes.
And then we are discussing what other further information we would request from the applicant.
Yes, and I don't know that we have, if we wanted, Travis, you're more of an expert on the administrative stuff. Do we need if we wanted to ask for a third-party review, do we need commission quorum for that? Because we currently don't seem like we have it.
A quorum? We have a quorum.
But if we're all divided on that, does that,
Oh, I think only, only a, there's only like very specific things that require, 3 people to vote in a certain way.
okay,
Everything else is just majority.
okay,
So I think it's for approval of an NOI, it has to be 3 people. So if only 3 of us were here, all 3 of us would have to vote yes.
okay.
But if we were voting on a particular part of that process, only 2 of us would have to vote yes if 3 of us were here.
Okay.
Just the final approval has to be at least 3 people, no matter how many conservation commissioners are here.
Gotcha. Thank you. So should we start with a motion to continue and then discuss whether to request a third-party review after that?
Bucky has to request it first, right?
No, I think the commission can request it. The applicant pays for it and they get to approve the
no.
proposal.
The-
Oh,
the
the
continuance,
continuance.
the
Oh,
continuance.
sorry.
Well, the applicant, I don't think they have to request it, but they have to agree with it. Otherwise, we would have to close the public hearing and vote on what we know now if they do not agree to continue.
Would you like to request a continuance?
Yeah, we anticipated that this is not a one hearing kind of project. It's, you know, a relatively large project overall, 3 acres. And even though it is effectively just a buffer zone project, so a continuance, I've no problem with that. We're certainly anticipating that. We're not up in front of the planning board until September due to their schedule. So we've got a little bit of breathing room. And in regards to the stormwater report, I'm certainly happy to talk more about it and go into more details. The system is currently significantly oversized. It is an overpowered system because it was easy for me to make up for all of the excess runoff from the existing development with basically a 2-foot high berm. I could do it, no problem. So I'm not afraid of a peer review. I think, it's because the system is so robust and so oversized. It's gonna use up some of my clients' financial resources to come up with the answer for this. I do peer review and stormwater report review for conservation commissions. So, I'm on that side of the table looking at other engineers' works, and I'm trusted by other commissions. Although this is my first time at Greenfield. I'm pretty confident what I'm doing, and I have every confidence that this system is way more than it needs to be. I thought the numbers spoke for themselves. We could be discharging quite a bit more material, more water to the downstream receiving waters, and we're electing not to with this current design. But we'll follow along with whatever the board, the commission requires. And getting an extension, deferring to a date certain is, totally within our expectations.
Okay, so the applicant has agreed to a continuation.
I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing for construction of multifamily housing at Stone Farm Lane, map R03 lot 14, DEP file number 1680365 to our next meeting, which is August 12th at 6:30 p.m.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. This again is for DEP file 168-0365. Can I just get a roll call? Travis,
Yes.
Erica,
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I am also an aye on the continuance. Follow-up discussion? You know where I stand?
I would like to have another meeting and maybe have the applicant go into more detail on the stormwater system and maybe show alternatives and how though, alternatives that may have been considered and why those were worse. And then after that meeting, if we're not satisfied, then vote for a peer review. But that's my inclination.
Other commissioners?
I think that'd be good in the interest of time as well. We have other items we need to work on this evening.
Erica, any final comments from you?
Yeah, I'm good with that. Just, yeah.
Just as a reminder, Bucky, we do have in our ordinance kind of like a mirror to the Wetlands Protection Act 10.58 for riverfront performance standards that, there is an expectation that for our local ordinance, you would follow the same as the Wetlands Protection Act. So alternatives analysis, quantification of disturbed and degraded riverfront. And, I've already gone on record saying I don't necessarily agree with what you call degraded. I would more call that disturbed, not degraded. And then just as a reminder for the commission, I'm actually not going to be present at the next meeting. So my comments are on record, but I don't get a vote next meeting. So. All right. Well, everyone from the public, if you're still here, if you're still awake, we appreciate you coming in and speaking in front of the commission and hanging with us for this very long meeting. We're already on past the 3.5 hour mark. So thank you so much for all of your comments. We really appreciate it. And we really value your input. And to the applicants, Noah and Bucky, thank you so much for hanging in and giving really detailed presentations and answering everyone's questions. We really appreciate it.
Kristen, I just want to say to the public, feel free to come back to the next one too.
Please. All right, I'm going to just push on the agenda here because we still have new business to get through. And then
Thank
old
you.
business and
Thanks for
enforcement
coming.
updates. So next on the agenda, we have a request for a certificate of compliance. My gosh, this poor applicant. 0.63 miles north of end of Factory Hollow Road. This is DEP file 168-0299. This looks like the order expired in 2017, and the request for COC is for removal of a dam on the Fall River by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We had originally estimated 20 minutes for this, but feel free to go faster.
Okay.
Jessica, you want to give the abridged version?
Yes,
You might have to come up to a microphone.
Yeah, come on up
so
to a
that
mic.
Kristen-
The green one's on, if you want the green one.
Doug Stutz from 54 Factory Hollow Road.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Emily.
Thank you for hanging in there.
Thank you.
Sorry, Doug.
Representing my mother, Frances Stutz, who she hasn't been up this late in a while. She turns 87 in August, and I told her to replug in her computer. Her battery ran out. This meeting ran so long, so
Yeah.
Oh my God.
hopefully she's back on.
So this is a unique situation. In 2014, an NOI was filed by let's see, I'm just going to bring it up real fast. The applicant was from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife. The property owners were listed as Northeast Utilities Electric Company and Rocky River Realty Company. The representative was from the Department of Fish and Game, Division of Ecological Restoration. Nowhere on the application was the Stotz family listed by name. The only reason they're attached to it is because it was attached to their parcel on the application and therefore at the Registry of Deeds. And this project had access through their land. And so the property owners, being the electric company, own the stream bed that the dam was on.
Just
Yeah,
grab
bring
a-
your, yeah, there.
So here's the original Form 3 filing.
I'm going to share my screen and.
Thanks. I was just going to pull it up
Yeah,
on the
I'm
Google
going to share
Drive.
my screen and show the original that is being shown in person right now.
So the conscientious bureaucrat filled in every slot to the letter, including the one asking for an assessor's map reference. Unfortunately, the stream bed parcel does not show on either the Greenfield or Gill assessor's maps. So they did the next best thing and borrowed my parents.
Hmm.
And here's the original appendix to the WAPA Form 3, making
This
clear
is
that
the appendix on the screen right now.
Yeah, that's good.
So it just shows that the surrounding land and access route is owned by the Stoats, but they're not the landowners.
And there you were not the ones who did any of the work.
we were not
I
the
mean,
ones
or
who did
did-
any of the work. We
or-
merely allowed the ecology to be improved by letting them drive their excavator through our land.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so they removed the dam, which is great. And there's site visit photos that I can go through. There's even photos of like during construction that we had in our files at the office. But a COC was never, a request for a COC was never filed, despite all the photos. So just to kind of orient you, this is the dam here on the screen with the water coming down. And then there's this, I think they call it an abutment on either side. The Historical Commission asked that that stay. So they brought in big equipment, took apart the dam, and this is, so this is after most of the dam's gone. And this is the Greenfield side of the Stoats land. So they are entering and exiting on the Greenfield side. And it was a joint meeting with Gill and Greenfield. And the reason this is coming up now is because the Stoats family is in the middle of getting a conservation restriction put on their land and with the Franklin Land Trust. And so they realized, everybody involved realized there was open order of conditions through both the Gill and the Greenfield Conservation Commissions. And so now that's kind of become a roadblock. And yeah, that's, so it got brought before us, and it's just a weird situation.
And just as a further point, I think you were there on Thursday, and I had 3 members of the Gill Conservation Commission there this morning, and they thought everything was spick and span as well.
Yeah, so this is, this is just the progress photos of the actual, so there's before and after. That's kind of cool to see.
And there's also an hour video on YouTube if you're so inclined.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Oh, yes.
Wow, I didn't know that. So these are my my site visit photos. So here's the abutment on the left and over here on the right, and this is the riverbed currently.
Making sure they didn't rebuild the dam.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Sisyphean
I wanted to
task.
be able to show you all like where, where it's at, even though we don't even have the applicant here, and to track them. I did do some Google searching. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife person's like nowhere to be found. And then the Department of Ecological Restoration person now works for Mass Audubon. It's just, it'd be super convoluted and hard to get them in here and like close it. And they're up against a pretty strict timeline for the CR happenings. So anyway, that's the weird situation we're in right now. So this is just the upside of the dam where the equipment, look how nice it looks.
Yeah. Nice.
That's the Gill side.
Cool.
And then, so a couple
Cool.
members of the Gill Conservation Commission sent me these. So this is the Greenfield side from the Gill side. So it was just a better angle because I was like perched on the thing, and
Right.
it was difficult. So yeah, that's Greenfield side. And any questions?
Do we know if there were any conditions that were supposed to continue after?
In perpetuity kind of thing? I
Because
had,
technically we're supposed to add those to a COC if there are.
yeah, so I have, ugh. I thought I had, oh, I don't have them in here. Shoot. There were 4 conditions and there weren't any in perpetuity,
Okay.
but it was like removal of treated wood and scrap metal and, gosh, I can't think of the other ones, but none of them were in perpetuity.
Mhm.
What's the Gilconcom doing? I'm just curious.
They're doing the same thing we're doing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I talked to the chair, and he's just in the same process of trying to, wrap his brain around like why it even is the way it is. And then trying to address it, so that the conservation restriction can go
I
forward.
know, and it was actually Brian who reached out to Mark Stinson, I think, who suggested this approach. And
Yes, Brian, was who I spoke with.
Donahue?
Yeah. So yeah, I know I'm just showing you my G drive here. Can I show you anything? I mean, these are like the plans. But I don't even know. They weren't signed and stamped by an engineer.
So I was just gonna say, there's no like.
Yeah, there's no
like-
as-built or
Yeah.
I believe need for as-built because these were not signed and stamped.
Basically, the point was to remove the dam and they did,
Yeah.
so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'll move to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 1680299.
Second.
All right, we have.
Just for completion, I'm recusing myself since I work for Franklin Land Trust.
Oh, okay, thanks. Okay, so, we have a motion and a second. I'll do a quick roll call and, Travis,
Yes.
Erica,
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion passes.
I thank the commission. Good things come to those who wait, and this concludes,
Sorry.
this concludes the feel-good portion of tonight's meeting.
We should have put you before. That was our
know.
bad. I'm so sorry about that. We should have moved new business up at the front. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
Well, I actually, they kept referring to the sand pit, and I did drink a lot of beer there in the late 70s. So.
Oh, did you?
to the sounds of Jay Giles band on an 8-track.
Nice. Nice.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Doug, for
Thank you. Thank
for
you,
waiting.
everybody.
for your
Yes, I
Yes.
will,
patience.
I'll be in touch. I'll fill out the
With the
proper
order, yeah,
forms
yeah.
and, I'll email them and mail them to you,
Perfect.
so that you have it all the ways.
All right.
Yeah.
Was your mother online? Did she want to say anything?
Princey, are you online, or? I think she.
She is there.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not she's
I didn't know. if
like
she
at the
had anything to
computer.
say.
Yeah, she may not know how to unmute it. So. All right. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. That's it for new business. It looks like, old business, none. Any enforcement updates, Jessica?
No, that's it. That I don't have anything else to add. The enforcement updates just live there 'cause they're so ongoing. Yeah, I think we're good.
Nothing on project monitoring, correspondence, or site visit scheduling?
Nothing to add now.
Okay, cool. So our next meeting is Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 at 6:30. If anybody has anything else that they want to discuss before we adjourn, this is your moment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right. Feel so weird.